Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tiny 10 Remix number 3. I cannot get far enough away from this mic. Here, let's turn some stuff down. Good lord. Okay. There we go. Now we're peeking the mic less. Okay. How is everyone doing? Hope everyone is staying safe and sane throughout all of the craziness going on in the world right now. And we're happy to bring you some entertainment here this afternoon with the Tiny 10 Remix number 3. One game from each of the mainline Tiny 10s in this race. And let's go ahead and bring in our commentators here today. We are joined by Mo and Beltic Gaming. Guys, how you doing today? How you doing in general?
Oh, you know, a little stir crazy, but not too bad. Yeah, but it's the same for me. Like, I hate being stuck inside. Like, I usually always just go out on Fridays, and now I couldn't, and I'm like, God, I am so bored right now. So I'm glad this is happening, so I have something to do at least.
How are you doing, Enemy?
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm just excited that we get to do this, and then of course tomorrow we're coming right back with the big Turbo 10 blind reveal race. So it's a big race heavy weekend here for us at RGLTV. So I'm excited about that. Everything else is very weird, yet exactly the same as normal at the same time in a lot of ways. So it's very strange in that regard. But obviously everyone's staying home and trying to stay safe, and everything's getting canceled left and right. I don't need to tell everyone about the news of the world. Everyone knows. But yeah, we're doing well here, I'm glad to say. So we are going to get everything kicked off here real quick. In just a couple seconds, we have our first four racers up on the screen. There you see. And we're going to get this race started and get everything going, get everything kicked off.
All goals are indeed finish the game.
Yep. Per the course of Tiny 10 Remix. That's why I can't wait to watch Castlevania 2 at the end. Oh, you got the steak boss, huh? Dead, dead, dead. Oh, you got the Soleil, huh? Dead, dead, dead.
I'm sure that will be fine for the people who have practiced the game.
Got the Dracula, eh? Dead, dead, dead.
Low sound for us, okay.
Do I need to boost up my mic? I did just wake up, so...
Mine is the same level as it's always been, so...
Yeah, mine hasn't changed at all. Oh, they're getting all sorts of just angry.
That's what you
sorry.
get when
I'm
people
sorry.
are
I was
ruthless.
explaining this to you guys with my mic muted. No, you guys are good now. I had bumped things down to compensate for the music, and then I had to bump you guys up. Then,
All right.
Oh,
So-
I see. Gotcha.
There we go.
so we're okay now. And I'm gonna just sit as far away from the microphone as I can to not peek it all day, because I will. Here, I'll bump mine down a little bit. All right, and I'll bump you guys up a little bit. All right, very good. So we still got this countdown timer going. Let's get that out of the way. Let's zero that out. Let's zero that out. Come on, Live Split. Ooh, I don't like how Live Split's behaving.
You gotta press 3 on the numpad to reset it.
No, I use 4.
I think 4 is my undo.
0 and 4. I don't even know what my undo is. Pause? No, pause pauses. I don't
Makes
know.
sense.
Yeah.
Spacebar is start and split. And
No,
then
I don't
2
use spacebar. Spacebar's too far away. That's
And then... Well, I had to switch to spacebar because of Yearwalk. Because every time I would hit one on my numpad, my map would open and I would lose like 30 seconds. So I had to switch it.
is it just Okay, so everybody's ready. We're going to go ahead and start this race in a second. Let's see. Here. All right, there's our 10-second countdown.
Nice.
Good luck to all the racers.
Yeah. I hope many soft locks happen.
Like always.
Oh, and let's get some game audio now too.
And it looks like they're underway now.
Yeah, we have like 2 minutes where nothing is happening.
So
Yeah.
Wario Land 2 has this really good feature where if you just don't play the game, you just win. So
Yeah. So now would be a good time to go refresh your drink, get a snack, use the restroom, because we are going to be into this for about 3 hours is what we're expecting for our top finishers here. A little bit less. So yeah, now would be a great time to, no joke, to go relax for a little bit.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening on one of the streams, but
Yeah, that they're clearly
Ross.
not prepared to start.
they went into some glitch thingy or something. I
Yeah.
have no idea what's going on.
Pay no attention to Ross Briggan's drink.
yeah.
Something happened with it.
Or pay all of the attention to it, you know? Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number one rule for Wario Land 2 is do not get out of bed. So people who have practiced this know this.
Yeah.
Which I almost did this morning.
Yeah.
Which will be interesting to see if Ross is going to do that. Whether or not they get out of bed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because otherwise the game will be like an hour long instead of 10 minutes, so...
Unfortunately long.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
So-
the answer.
So the goal for all of the games is to beat the games. There's some clarification on that with a couple of these. See, there you go. Just sleeping.
Just taking a snoozer. Just no worries in the world. Mo, why do you like this game?
Because it is the best game ever made. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite Game Boy games of all time. Just released a podcast episode about it, actually, so if you want the details why I love this game so much, you can always listen to that.
Just still snoozing.
All right, so
I
now,
don't even like Wario Land 4, actually.
no,
Yes.
what are these fellas doing with old Wario here?
Well, they're just throwing him out of sight of his own castle. As you do.
As you do.
As you do. They're just like, you know what? You don't want to wake up? Fine.
As you can see, Ross did wake up.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a long time before we see him going to game number 2, actually.
Yeah, even quote-unquote any percent casual playthrough of this is
Well,
pretty long.
I have an
so-
update from elsewhere. Fetty has also woken up.
Okay.
Yeah. They're in it for the long haul.
So yeah, what can you say about Wario Land 2? You are basically invincible. There's no actual way to die in this game.
This, yeah. So, like, those bomb penguins, by the way, is the worst. Because they make you, like, drunk or sleepy or whatever. And the only way to, like, be fine is to fall in the water.
Yeah. On the European and American version, it doesn't make much sense. But they are normally throwing pints of beer to you, so you get drunk. So then you need like a cold shower to to sober up again. You can actually do an attack while you're drunk, which is like a burp, which also in this case makes no sense at all. But yeah, it makes sense if you know that it's beer that they're throwing. The any percent route for Wario Land 2 has 5 stages in total. And it's basically all based on movement tech. There is a glitch that you can do in the level that Hero and Alec are on right now, but I'm not sure if it's just for the Game Boy Color version of the game or not. It might be, because that's the version that people actually play for the speedruns of this.
Yeah, so like this game, you've probably more so seen it as a black cart instead of a gray cart. Basically, like they're virtually the same game. This one's optimized for Game Boy Color, one's slightly more optimized for the OG Game Boy. But yeah, I was like, I'm not a huge fan of Wario 2. Mo knows this, but one of my favorite things in Wario Land 2 is the rolling. I think the rolling's actually pretty cool. So let's say we got a little fire going on here.
Yeah, there's no way to die, but there is a way to like use quote-unquote power-ups or ways you get damaged in your favor. Like the fire is used to go through the fire blocks. You can get squished, which makes you go through smaller gaps. I don't think there's any others we will see here. There are a few more that you can use, but it's basically just a platformer exploration game. It's really not focused on combat or anything. It's really just about exploration in general.
It really is, because like if you do the 100% of this game, it's a pretty long quote unquote run or playthrough rather.
Yeah.
Because there's backtracking and whatnot too with 100%. So I will say this: the sprite work in this is actually well done.
Yeah,
I just wish you could die in this game.
Sure. I mean, from this one onwards, you can't die in any Wario game anymore. Maybe Wario World, I don't remember, but yeah, that's not what these games are about at all.
Nice kill there by Hero. So yeah, for those wondering, like, oh, but they woke up, so what's the real big difference here? Well, waking up is about blind, maybe hour and a half, 2 hours. The speedrun 80% glitchless, which is what the category is for this race, is about 10, 11 minutes. So, that's the difference between waking up and not waking up, so.
Yep. Waking up just makes you play the quote-unquote real story, which gives you 25 stages. And not waking up is a secret exit, basically, that gives you only 5 stages before you reach an actual ending point. There are a few other exits throughout the game, but none of them are as fast as this one. I think all the exits provide at least 20 stages, so yeah, if you don't know them, you're just playing through the normal game, which is 25 of them.
Yep. Those pelicans are jerks that you just saw on Smart Alex stream. All birds are jerks in any video game.
Yes.
Very few helpful video game birds.
Even the ones that are helpful are just dumb.
A lot of people don't. Yeah, I mean, they're also jerks.
Like you got Beat, like he's just useless.
He's very useful, in fact. I mean, he's still a jerk, though. He has a gambling problem. A lot of people don't know that.
Smart Alec coming up to the boss of the game. One of them, but this is the end point for this route, at least.
Yeah.
There is a trick to do this faster, for sure, but it's really precise. So most people will not be going for it, and are just going for the safer, because yeah, again, you can die, but if you get hit during a boss fight, you get thrown out of the boss area, and you have to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain. Even like the backtrack, it's like, well, they know where they're going. Yeah, but it's a super big pain to like backtrack.
Yeah, it's usually only 2 rooms you have to go through, but yeah, it does lose you a lot of time.
Alright,
There we go.
Smart Alec is on to Wave Race 550cc National Circuit. First place?
First
No,
place.
finish.
Well, finish in first place, which is...
Yeah.
Which is pretty easy. I didn't realize when I put this list together, but these first 2 races have a lot of kind of just sitting around as strats. Because we saw that with Mario or with Wario Land, where you sit around it first, and that's what allows you to beat it so quickly. And we're going to see that a little bit in Wave Race as well. If you beat the first 3 races, then it's actually faster in the 4th race to just sit there and let the race time out.
Huh.
So this is the lazy race, apparently, of Tiny 10 Remix.
The Lazy River, here
That's
we go.
right.
So, Wave Race, it's almost like RC Pro-Am, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, I very much enjoy RC Pro-Am. It's just water-based instead of street-based. But, so basically, if you stay in the darker portion of the water, you move faster. If you go to the lighter version, you move slower. There are various pop-ups, or power-ups throughout the stage. As you just saw, there was an octopus on Smart Alec and Hero screen. I don't remember what all of the power-ups do anymore. One grants you invincibility. One gives you a speed boost, if I remember right.
Yeah, the octopus makes you, if you bump into your opponents, you steal their turbo boost, so your goes back up faster, so you can use it.
But the churning in this game, my one gripe with this game is the sound effects. It gets to my head real quick, but because it's just the entire time. But the game is actually a lot of fun. It actually controls pretty smoothly as well too. I've played my fair share of top-down racing games on the Game Boy and NES, and this is one of the more smoother controlled racing games for sure. Like even the hairpin turns that you're seeing aren't really that bad. And I like that the checkpoints are smiley faces.
Yeah, it may look like it's hard to control these things, but you have to realize they are on a water ski, that's what it's called, right?
A jet ski, I think.
Jet ski, yeah, whatever.
Is that a brand name? No, Wave Runner is a brand name. Jet ski is the generic term. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got
So yeah, it looks like they're like slipping, but that's normal because that's just how those things behave. So it's actually very well done, and it's not as hard as it looks at all.
Yeah. And the arrows actually tell you like beforehand like what's drastically about to happen, so you can kind of just prep yourself for it. If you look on the screen in the bottom right corner, you can see the circuit that they're on and the amount of turbo that they are using. So here we're going into race 3. Yeah, race 3, and if Hero and Alec get first place on this, then they can just sit and race 4 and be perfectly fine. And same with Ariel as well too.
Yeah, you may notice the flickering of the HUD on some of the streams. It's a problem on EverDrive for some reason.
Yep.
Like, if you're playing it on original Game Boy, that is not a problem at all. I'm not sure what Alec is using, actually, because I don't see the flicker there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It does look like Super Game Boy 2, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and the arrows that you're seeing across the water is just the current, so it just pushes the racer to the side. So what you're gonna see them do is try and line up towards the middle or towards the inside. That way they can stay in the dark water as much as possible. Then they're gonna turbo through it to try and maintain all of their momentum and speed as well. Rubber banding in this game, I found out as well too when I did this game for helping Mo research however many years ago this was. And there is rubber banding. Once you get a certain distance away, the closest CP, the closest AI to you, will just magically start appearing behind you. So it is something to actually keep a little bit in mind. Like most retro racers, like most retro racing games, the rubber banding can be pretty brutal at times.
Yeah, on National Circuit, it's not that big of a deal. Like, you can get through it pretty quickly. For all CCs, actually. But once you've beaten all National Circuits, you unlock World Circuit, which is basically the hard mode of this game. And there it just gets... anymore.
World mode is literally impossible.
Yeah.
It's so hard. So yeah, as you can see here, we're playing Wario Land 2 again, and
yeah, poor Ross is gonna have a hard time. Well, not a hard time, but
yeah. Well, we got Ross and Fetty. Yeah, Fetty.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring Fetty up on stream, but it looks like his stream is having a little bit of issues, or at least me being able to watch it is, so
yeah,
I might be switching back to Ross here.
Oh, we got some fish, dude.
That's right. Yeah, it looks like we got some time over here, and Grannon's moving on.
I was watching
Smart Alec, and then Ariel very shortly behind. So our top three, they are neck and neck and neck.
Yeah. I was watching Ariel practice this game, and the amount of fun that they were having.
I genuinely don't know if you're being sarcastic or not.
Oh, that's sarcastic.
I'm pretty sure you are being sarcastic, yeah.
Fish. I love Fish Dude.
I do too.
The speedrun of Fish Dude is the absolute worst, but the game itself is so good. Fish Dude is, I forgot how many stages, but basically you're a smaller fish. You're a fish that eats smaller fish, all while that there's a bigger fish trying to eat you as well. And throughout the stages, there's going to be slight obstacles, like the squid, where if you touch it, you can ink the screen, and the big fish no longer sees you, almost like Metal Gear. And then if you jump out of the water, you can either get pawed by catboat, or you can get eaten by a pelican. So, but jumping out of the water can definitely save you at times in a pinch. So, the biggest factor of this is the big fish. The big fish can just appear literally out of nowhere.
The big fish does teleport.
And the big fish is just a jerk, because anywhere that's an entrance or an exit that's off screen, the big fish can just come from. It's completely...
Yeah, your best bet is to keep him on screen somewhere, so you always know where he is.
Catboat.
Ariel actually found out you can eat the big fish in these early stages as well if you get him on the tail, so...
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
That's huge.
But I bet he respawns.
Of course he does.
Yeah. As we do. But the music in this game is so good. It's such a basic game as well, too. It's what makes it even better. Like, it's a really basic, easy game to get into. And like a person would never know, like, oh, this is what this is what I just needed in my life. And then you play, you're just like, wow, this is amazing. And as you progress through the game, your fish and the other fish get bigger, and the bigger fish gets bigger as well too. So
it's one of the more blind-friendly games in this race too.
It really is, yeah. And then I think every stage gives you a passcode as well too. The password is really, really easy because it's only 2 characters. So the game did another thing correct as well too. So
you only get a password after stage 3 though, so you do have to survive those.
Yeah, and there's the jerk bird.
You ever seen the passwords on Super Tennis? It's like
No,
470 characters. It's not quite that many, but it's a lot of characters.
Like Xanadu and things like that.
Yeah.
Where you literally have to write a book before you can start the game.
Xanadu's passwords are so
I've
good.
been playing this other game recently, and the password, it's a Japanese release, so the passwords have the katakana in there. Like, what the hell is this? You don't need passwords for the game. Like, it's really, it's like a 20-minute game, but like, it's still like, let me just write this down.
The worst part about them too is that like some of them are so poorly like drawn out in the game too that you just can't tell what character they are.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I think it's this one.
It's pretty good in this game, but there's some subtlety in some of the characters in Japanese, especially to our French fried American brains. So it's a little tricky in that regard.
So just to explain the HUD a bit too, in the bottom right corner again, you can see a fish icon and you can see a timer. Basically, you have 200 seconds, I think it is, to eat X amount of fish, and the number next to the fish icon is the amount of fish that they need to eat per level to move on. You can move slightly faster in the... Yeah, so if you're eating a fish and a big fish eats you, that's a double meal for that big fish. So basically what's going to happen is once you game over, they're going to pop in a password and start right back up where they... Some of the strat is if you don't have any extra lives at all and you're entering a stage that has, password obviously, if the big fish appears right away, sometimes it's faster to get eaten and to just put in a password and get your 3 lives back and move on. But there is some movement tech to this as well too. If you keep your mouth open, you actually move faster with the fish. So, and as soon as you touch a smaller fish, you just immediately eat them. But you have to be careful though. If you do outrun the screen, that big fish disappears. You can appear right in front of you. There it is. God, we have to see a water jump. Oh, and a second water jump. Gotta watch out for catboat, though.
There can only be one big fish on the screen, indeed.
Yes. Could you imagine if you could have more than one big fish on the screen? This game would be chaos. Like, would you ever think of the name Fish Dude for a game like this? Like, what?
That's part of the charm.
It is.
Like, if it was called, Eat Some Fish or something, that wouldn't be any good. Actually, that would be pretty good, too, if it was called Eat Some Fish. I accidentally ruined my point. But Fish Dude's a pretty awesome name.
It is. It's a very good name. But just imagine, going to the store and just seeing the box. And you just see a game called Fish Dude, and it's just this...
That's how it went back then, man. That's how it worked.
It's this cartoon fish on the front cover that's smiling. So here we go. We are in the final stage, I believe, here, where you have to... With Hero, where you have to eat the big fish now. But the only way to eat the big fish is to get behind the big fish. And Hero is getting very unlucky right now. So what you can do is that if you're quick enough around the corner there, you can hurry up and press up and get the big fish from behind. But sometimes human is slower than computer, so you got Scuba Steve there just hanging out.
Okay, so just to reiterate, the octopus gives you invincibility, or not invincibility, but the big fish can't see you for a time.
Yeah, it inks you.
Yeah, that was a question in chat.
Ariel is winner.
Ariel is winner and off to Pingu.
All right. Well, and I know that Ariel is loving life right now because, so here is a true fact. Pingu is on this list because Ariel was so adamant that Pingu should be on this list. Now, normally when someone says, I want this game, that's a surefire way to get me to not put it on there. But we had to reshuffle some games down to like a couple hours before this list came out. So I said, okay, it fits. Because I wanted to put one game from each Tiny 10 on the list. So Pingu made its way in because he had stumped so much for it. So that's like the one time I've ever actually put a game on a list because someone's asked for it. So I'm sorry everyone else who ever asks for a game. It's probably not going to happen.
I'm still waiting for Mo to put Shaq Fu in the game list.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody knows that Mo has personal vendetta towards you about Shaq Fu. Shaq Fu and Alien 3, so...
Dude, he loved Alien 3.
Well, yeah, for sure. But...
Yeah, see?
Not as the speedrun for Tiny 10.
Best speedrun, alright? Do you want blind people to be in a game for 6 hours?
Yes.
I mean, we have Wario Land 2 here. So, that's, yes.
Alright, Hero getting out of fish stew now. We got Alec needing one more fish. So Pingu, so broke it up into 5 days, I believe it is. If you've ever watched the cartoon, or claymation, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
The game is literally based off of that. So, fun fact, at the start of the game there, if Hero would have actually gone left and newted at his little sister, she would newt back at him. Fun Easter egg. But yeah, so the first episode is you eat the fish, half of it, and your mom gets all angry, so you yell at her, and then she tells you to go fishing for some more food. So then you go meet up with Ralph, and you go fishing. So you're gonna come across a couple different types of fish. The darker colored fish are worth more points than the lighter colored fish, and the bigger fish are worth even more points, both the lighter colored and the darker colored. Once you've caught, I forgot how many points you needed, then you basically break off into a cutscene where you lose your fish, but Ralph brings it back for you because Ralph is the best friend in the world. So you need 100 points, pretty easy to get, but you do have a timer. If you look in the top right corner, those little lines there, they do tick down after a while, and you do have a limited amount of... So sometimes you're going to see a fish just basically spearhead across the screen. If that fish touches your lure, you're going to lose that lure. If Ralph touches your lure, you're going to lose that lure. If you lose your lures or run out of time, you have to restart the minigame again.
Can confirm it is the fish from Fish Stew that gets eaten at the start. All of these games in Tiny 10 are actually linked together plot-wise.
It's true.
Yes.
We only deal with the deepest lore in the Tiny 10. So this is the good timeline, by the way. So while reeling it in, it may look a little... Actually, the bigger fish are not that easy to reel in. You have to mash, I believe it's the A button, to reel in a fish. The smaller they are, the faster you can reel them in, right? But if you get a big fish in your line and you're not mashing fast enough, that fish is going to take your lure, and you're going to lose the lure. So
We'll get there. We'll get there, Emily. We'll get there.
Good play. Oh no, my fish! My favorites are the sprites of Pingu when he lays on the ground because it just looks like a big, just like penguin blanket that just fell on the floor. So Ariel here is doing the platformer here. So you have to hang out with your sister for the day, and you come across a few buds. You're like, hey, what's up, buds? And then your sister wanders and gets stuck on this floating ice chunk, and now it's up to you to Mario across all of the floating ice chunks to save your sister. There are some shortcuts to this. Maybe not really shortcuts, but definitely a harder, more complicated way around things, and it's really based off of the timing. This is probably the second worst minigame in the game, simply because of the point of view that you have to jump onto these icebergs or ice chunks. Because if you look at it, you're kind of at an angle behind the screen. So if you jump too far, even though it looks like you land on the ice chunk, you actually fall into the water and have to start from the start again. But if you don't jump too far, it looks like you land on the iceberg, but you actually fall into the water. With minigame number 2 or episode 2, if you do quote-unquote game over, you can pick up right from the level that you left off on. So it's not too damning for that.
Yeah, and as we all know, penguins can swim, so that's why you lose if you fall into the water.
It's true.
They are the worst birds ever. Can't fly, can't swim. Just horrible.
But they're cute.
But they're cute.
And we always have them in a tiny tent. So here, episode 3, Pingu breaks a vase because he's playing soccer, aka football, in the house. And then we find this merchant that has the same exact vase, and the merchant's like, nope, you need to get me a fish to pay for this vase. We're like, alright, cool. So we can go on to the literal worst minigame of the game, which is hockey. And you would think, wow, hockey's a great sport, how dare you? Well, this is air hockey. It's not air hockey in the sense that it's, pushing around. It's sometimes the puck doesn't want to listen to you. So stages 1, you're basically going to see a delay in the hitting the where Pingu's going to fall over, and this is what it can happen. So now we're snowballing here, so we have to try and get this puck into the net, while the AI is just the best goalie to have ever graced this earth.
Yeah, welcome to RNG hell. If you can't manipulate correctly, this is what happens.
Yep. And it's not
Throw an Alec time to catch up though, so
definitely, yeah. It's not so bad in stage 1 and 2. Stage 3 is where it gets brutal, and at this point, Ariel would probably be better off just letting the AI score and then resetting the puck in the center.
It sort of looked like that's what he was thinking about.
Yeah.
We found out that it actually screws over the manipulation, so it wouldn't even matter at this point anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So does that mean Ariel's just kind of at the behest of
He has to
God
play.
RNG right now?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
That sucks.
Well, I hope he's happy with the choices he's made in life.
I can't wait to have Pingu in the game.
Well, now he's happy right now because he just won.
Yeah. So stage 2 here. Yeah. This is why it's the worst minigame in the game.
So it looks like you can't cross center ice.
You cannot cross center ice. No, it's air
Just like
hockey
real
rules.
hockey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. He got one in. So is the manipulation per stage here, or is it like from the beginning of the air hockey, air ice hockey game, and that's it?
That I'm not too sure of.
Like, I didn't know if you had a manipulation each stage that you could start off with.
Not in 3, that I know, but I think
okay.
1 and 2 do have like a trick to them.
1 and 2 definitely do. All 3 kind of have a trick to them, but 1 and 2s are really, really easy to do. 3 is a beast in itself, but you can see here that the AI is the best goalie the world has ever seen. And it's like, and you would think, wow, the puck, shouldn't be that hard to move. It's actually, the puck is the puck is the most frustrating part of this. It's not even so much the AI; it's the puck movement and control. Because like there are times like I want to push it up and down, and you make the movement to push the puck up and down, but the puck just goes straight. You're just like, I don't understand why that happened. So in this, if you do quote unquote bad play, is what they call it in the game, you do pick up from the stage that you essentially game overed on.
Yes.
And we got a sync between Ariel and Hero right now. We got Alec in stage 3, which is the harder of them, because the AI is faster and the puck moves a bit faster, so...
Yeah, Alec is in, well, as far as I can see, in the lead now. Maybe I'm a little behind, but...
From what I can tell, he's in the lead right now,
Yeah.
but Ariel and Hero are right behind him.
Yeah, like I said, it was time for Hero and Alec to catch up because of the failed manipulation, so that's what happens with games like this.
Alright, Alec moving on. So Alec's gonna be like, hey, I want to buy that vase. It's like, nope, sorry, I already sold it. Turn into a blanket, please. And then, as you walk home, spoiler alert, your old man is going to be there holding that vase. I like that your dad smokes a pipe in this game, too. I like that the snowman actually looks human as well. And we all laugh and have a good time.
That's the Pingu way.
'Tis the Pingu way. So now we're going into the final episode of Pingu, and you're wanting your mom's attention, but your mom is paying attention to your little sister, and you just keep pestering her, mom, and then she gets real upset, basically throws you out the door, physically, makes Pingu cry. We don't want to see that. So Pingu's like, alright, see you later, and basically just runs away from home. And he's gonna go chill with his friends and go have a snowball fight. So with the snowball fight mechanic is there's 3 different layers to this. You have a mid-range and a far range. Maybe there's only 2. Maybe, I thought there was 3 for some reason. Maybe there's only 2. But you have 2 layers. You have a mid-range and a far range. And if you look at the bottom left corner, there's a power meter. And that's going to determine how, how far you throw. This minigame is pretty simple. Even if they're hiding behind walls, you can still hit them most of the time. For them, it's a one-hit kill. For you, I think you can get hit 2 or 3 times before you get bad played. So, and again, there's 3 stages to this. If you do get a game over or bad play, you can just start up where you left off.
Yeah, and you can hit the other penguins even if they're hiding behind the full wall. They cannot do that with you. You're always safe that way.
Correct, yeah. I would say the hardest penguins to hit are the closer penguins, because I always overthrow the middle segment. Pingu is literally the Canadian sniper right now. Just hitting headshots from behind a wall.
Wait, Canadian sniper?
Yeah. The Canadian sniper, I believe, still holds the longest sniper shot.
That was the context I was looking for. I didn't understand why the sniper was Canadian. I was like, wait a second. Why do we have to specify what country its sniper was from? I understand now, see? So I'm glad I asked.
I haven't checked my sources in a few years. The last time I checked...
Listen, don't let facts get in the way of a good story, all right?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to. I know a good story. When
I just didn't understand why the sniper had to be Canadian. So that was just confusing to me, but now I know.
So yeah, the day's all gone. It's
No, Pingu
nighttime.
can't be Canadian, Captain Duck,
Friends.
because penguins, as we all know, are native to Antarctica. So, sorry. They're not in the north.
I mean,
I didn't
Pingu could be
invent
Canadian.
nature, okay?
Pingu could still be Canadian, but live in Antarctica.
Well, he could have, I guess, family that moved to Canada. I don't know.
All right, so Alec is on the bat gun now. So if you guys didn't know, back in the day, Batman, instead of displaying justice with his fists, just actually just straight up shot his enemies and killed them.
Yes,
so,
right. Like the Canadian sniper.
Back what can we say about Batman?
He's put on a couple LBs in this game, you know.
He did.
He's been eating well during the quarantine, so, you know, God bless him. Oh no! Oh! That jump did not happen! He can't fly. That's the other thing, unlike bats.
Well, that's because he put on so much weight.
just
So
straight
since he
up
put on
fall.
so much weight, he just can't jump anymore.
Yeah. There is a float button, but it doesn't work. This is a game that I know, especially blind, is really confounding to a lot of people. This game goes different places. Obviously, you got the little run and gun platformer here. Eventually, it'll become a bit of a shmup as well. And I think that's really where some people start to get frustrated when they're first playing this game.
Yeah. This game is actually a really good game with really good soundtrack.
Yes.
Sunsoft,
baby.
It may be intimidating to some people because it is a platforming shooter that, you know, and it says Batman. If we all remember what Batman was like on the NES,
Oh,
you know,
so
we're
good.
kind of
I love that game.
We're just like, oh, you know, Batman was so hard. It was an exceptional game, but it was hard.
Yeah. Oh no, as a kid, I couldn't stand that game.
Yeah, as a kid, I couldn't beat it at all.
I thought it was a bad game because it was so hard for me. And I'm playing as an adult. I was like, oh wait, this game's awesome. I was just an idiot kid.
I could barely beat it as an adult because
Joker is a jerk at times. Yeah.
In both versions, also in this one.
Yeah. So in Batman here, we have the two different colored blocks. We have the darker colored blocks and the light colored blocks. The darker colored blocks hold, I guess you can call them power-ups. Sometimes they give you a different gun, which I believe you want the Batarang, question mark? For this
the
run.
R is the gun you want.
Yeah, and then sometimes there's a gun power down power-up, which will just power down your gun. Some of the quote-unquote gun power-ups or different guns make your gun super short, where you have to be really close to the enemy to hurt them. Some of them let you shoot through walls. It just really depends on the power-up that you collect. Some of them will give you a shield, some will give you one-ups. It's just you have to kind of know what blocks you're breaking or know what the icons do when you see them. There is a lot of just adaptiveness and responsiveness to this run as well too, because if you do accidentally break a block, you have to be very careful of, you know, not to pick up something bad. So you can see there's a 1-up on hero screen. So you can see on Ariel there, they just defeated the first boss. I believe in this game as well that the bosses do have a critical point if you shoot them in the head. So you can do extra damage if you're doing headshots to them, which is actually a pretty cool feature that you don't see all too often in a Game Boy game. So
yeah, they usually don't distinguish between those things. And yeah, just like the NES game, this is based on the objectively best Batman movie ever, so...
Where the boss name is Jack?
Yes. Jack Nate. Is it the objectively best Joker? That I don't know.
No one knows. I don't know what the best... man, that's a tough one. We could start a whole war on that.
Indeed, yeah. But I still think the, well, it's not even the original Batman because there was the 60s one, but the Tim Burton Batman for me is still the best.
I love the Tim Burton Batman.
We part company here, gentlemen. I'm just not a Tim Burton guy, except for Beetlejuice, which is amazing.
And Nightmare Before Christmas.
Honestly, okay, I can't even comment on that.
It's just Michael Keaton makes it.
Okay, all right. Here's my problem. They can't wait to have Batman be like, nope, I was Bruce Wayne the whole time. Let go with my secret identity real quick. Vicky Vale, now you know. Alfred's just like selling him up the river in like the second act. It's like, what the hell? What do you? That's the same problem I had with Spider-Man 2, where like, oh, my mask is a little torn. The hell with this? I'll take it off and run around New York City. No one will know.
Well, at least it wasn't
garbage. That's my biggest pet peeve in superhero movies when they're like, I don't care about protecting my identity anymore.
Yeah, that's what I hate about Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. The amount of times that he takes his mask off in public, I'm like, did you even read the comics? Don't you know they fucked up the entire storyline because he took off his mask once?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole point of having a secret identity. Is because you want to protect your regular identity, right? I know, so that annoys me. So yeah. And then of course, like, the Batman Returns is, that's.
Can we all talk about Batman Forever for a bit? How that's probably the greatest.
Batman Forever is the best Batman. Like, it's got Kiss by a Rose. Like, what are we talking about? That's how I rate Batman's, based on how many Seal songs are in them.
So we have Ario in the shoot 'em up now, and Smart Alec in the shoot 'em up. This is probably where the game difficulty curve definitely ramps up. It looks easy, and it is easy. My problem with the shmup is that it's so basic that I get really bored and then I get hit by really dumb things. But you can also shoot backwards in this one. You're gonna have a lot of enemies coming backwards. The boss of this section can be a bit of a jerk if you're not paying much attention. Can we just say that the cutscene sprites in this game are just 10 out of 10 as well too? That Batmobile was awesome looking. So you're gonna have a lot of stuff coming from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen. Everything pretty much dies in one shot, except for the bigger plays that take like 2 or 3. But the biggest learning factor of the shmup is things are going to be coming from behind you, and pretty often as well too. So if you're not a shoot 'em up connoisseur, or if you just played really basic shoot 'em ups, you may not be ready for a back attack or a surprise attack at all. So
yeah, this first boss you just have to like fight him, but the second one, like for him 3-2, can actually go into the sprite, and if you can mash hard enough, and that's a big question, you can actually take him out by just taking damage, which makes these fights a lot easier.
Yep. And yeah, you can shoot front and back at the same time, which when you're moving between the bombs and the blimpies, it's very helpful. Don't mind the floating dead penguins in the sky either.
Yeah, and that's how Pingu, the previous game, and Batman tie together.
It's true.
Yes, drum porters, I can agree with that, but at least he's not Superman, where you can just take off your glasses and suddenly nobody recognizes you.
Let's not get Mo started on Spider-Man. We had to do 2 episodes of a podcast about So here we are, we're up to the Shredder plane. If you don't know why it's the Shredder plane, just look at the front of it, it looks like Shredder. If you don't know who Shredder is, it's too bad. You've really missed out on life. So the helicopter is probably the more worst thing to fight because the balls kind of just like hone in at your previous locations, and sometimes all like corners, so you're just like, well, am I gonna? Maybe not. So into 4-1 here, this is where the platforming starts to get pretty nuts as well too. Typically, Batman's gonna take the high ground, but here you're gonna go through the low ground. And you're gonna have a lot of stationary turrets. The platforming looks pretty basic. However, Batman's controls questionable at times. They can be quite floaty, which makes jumping on moving platforms and smaller platforms actually kind of difficult to do.
It can be a benefit or it can be a detriment. It kind of depends, you know. You can kind of make up for some stuff at times, but yeah, it definitely takes some getting used to. And as you can see, our top 3 runners here have definitely put a little bit of effort in and gotten some used to it, but that doesn't mean that everything's going to go perfectly here in the race.
Right. So 4-2, this is the bane of everyone's existence that has ever played this game. I remember when Mo put this game into the Tiny 10, people were just like, how do you beat 4-2? It's impossible. It is a very hard stage. This is the hardest stage of the game and the run, in my opinion, where you're in a auto-scroller. However, you have to know what is coming up, otherwise you're going to take damage. And if you, I think it's something like 6 hits, you're dead. You're going to come to a point where you have to know what platform to jump on, because otherwise you're going to have a dead end. It's tough, but those that put in some time and practice should know or get through it pretty easily. This is where the float jumping can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. But if you look in the top right corner, you can see the R equals sort of the R-6. That is their weapon power. So throughout the run, you saw them pick up what was a gun with a white background. That actually powers up their gun, and if they would have picked up a gun with a black background, that would have powered down their gun. So here we're on to the Joker fight, and as you can see, the Batarang is quite an amazing gun because it comes back to you and it does piercing. So if you shoot through them once, and they would just come back through them again. So this boss has a ton of health, as does every boss in this game, and Joker's down. And Batman kicked him off the top of the building.
Off the roof.
All
right, here we go. Yeah, this game rules. If you guys like Contra 3, how about a much slower version of Contra 3? It's this is Contra: The Alien Wars for Game Boy, and it's fairly similar. They did a pretty good job of approximating the Super Nintendo version, which, you know, all credit to Konami for that. But there are a few differences, namely the weapons that you want to use in this game. The spreader, as always, is a pretty good go-to option, but it's not going to be your best bet throughout most of the game. That's going to be the flamethrower, which we sort of see in Super C as well, although this flamethrower is very different from that one. In Contra 3 for the Super Nintendo, the Crush is the ideal weapon, but boy, in this game does it suck.
It's not good.
I would dare say it's probably the worst weapon. I mean, arguably the homing shot is the worst, because it's kind of too, but
I mean, homing is bad, but in a pinch, homing can be pretty helpful.
It's very specific times, yeah.
Yeah, but Crush is never helpful.
No, it really isn't. Like, your pea shooter is significantly better than the Crush.
Yes.
Which is not uncommon for Contra. The standard gun, or the regular gun, as some people like to call it, is usually a pretty good fallback option, too, if you don't have the spreader. But, yeah, in this game, primarily, the flamethrower is going to destroy everything. Unfortunately, that does not exist in the first stage here. So you see Ariel and Alec running through with the spreader for now. And they're going to be able to get the flamethrower guaranteed in the second stage.
Yeah, so here we're coming up against the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. They got a little bit too much ooze in
I love how
the
giant
second
it is.
movie.
Yeah, that's Toko, right?
Yeah. So there's a little crystal right in the front of their chest. All you have to do is if you have spreader or just the regular gun, standard gun, you can just kneel down basically at the front of that window and
there it is.
basically hold down shoot. So now we have the flamethrower, the best weapon in the game.
Yeah, there are some very specific times where it's kind of preferable to have the spreader, but for the most part, if we're killing stuff quickly, except no substitutions for the flamethrower.
Yeah. So the game doesn't iframes for bosses. So with the flamethrower, it's just a continual stream of basically bullets, you can call it. So it just melts enemies real fast. So you're gonna see here after this top-down view is done, we have one more turret, I guess, to get through. We're gonna come across and depending how quick you are to position yourself, you can take out the really quick because they have 6 little spindles, 3 on each side. And if you're quick enough, you can take out all 3 on one side, like you saw on Ariel's screen. And then, oh, there you go.
That was a very good kill. That was an excellent kill.
That was very good kill.
So the giant face.
So once you've taken out the 6 spindles, then you have to aim for the eyeballs basically at the front. This is probably the second worst stage in my opinion.
It is a little slow. I mean, you do have to wait for some pretty slow auto-scrolling. I can see why you'd say that for sure.
The 2 reasons I say it's the second worst is because you get introduced to the wall climbing in this stage, and the wall climb is kind of to begin with. It's kind of janky to get back to the top of the thing, and then once you get past the auto-scrolling wall climbing section, you're introduced to a pit with some random missiles coming at you, and if the missile RNG is not in your favor, it's a bad time. Otherwise, the stage isn't bad. So this game comes in 3 different difficulties: easy, normal, and hard. The easy difficulty, the game actually ends after this stage.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah. So in order to see the full game, you play it on. And I believe in Tiny 10. Yeah, everyone's playing on normal on this one to see the entire game. In Tiny 10 2, when this game was debuted, we only played it on easy.
Right. So. Yeah, so that's one major is maybe an overstatement, but that's one difference between the original listing for this and Tiny 10, and then here we are for Tiny 10 Remix 3.
Yeah. The only reason I know the goal for Tiny 10 2 of this one because I ran in Tiny 10 2 is the only reason I remember it.
Yeah, I was still nice then.
Yeah. Wow. You put trap in, I don't know about nice.
By the way, if you ever want to be able to legitimately say that you have a sub 10 in Contra, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah. It is. So that wall climbing section there, you just have to stay between the monster's legs, and when the monster comes in, you just have to hit its head. Once you've defeated the said monster, you can just climb up the wall. It's not a big deal. But you can kind of see how the missiles there, if you don't have the right weapon across that gap, can just be hell on earth, honestly. So here we have a up climbing section as you do in Contra, where you have turrets that come out of the wall. And then we're about to face off against the Stage 3 boss. You gotta be really careful here at the end, because there's gonna be a floating power-up that can drop if you shoot it, and it's homing.
Don't get it.
It's homing, and the amount of runs that we
Yep, absolutely. Both in this version and the Super Nintendo version. Yeah, it's brutal.
So there's a quick kill here, kind of, sort of, if you have the flamethrower, if you hang out on the side there and shoot eyeballs.
Did you guys like the Terminator boss? Because he's dead.
It dies real quick.
Yeah, that's why we use the flamethrower, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. So we're into the best part of the game, in my opinion, where we actually go against actual aliens now. So this top-down view here, the swirlies kind of push you around a little bit. The long alien boys can kind of just ignore physics and just do whatever they want. But it's the same concept as the previous top-down one, where you have to navigate through and take down the turrets. The turrets are always in a statically set place. There's no RNG to them at all. It's just understanding the optimal route of getting to the turrets.
Yeah, unlike the Super Nintendo version, you can't select your starting point. You're just randomized as to where you start. Or at least as far as I know, it's random. I don't know if there's a way to manipulate it. But...
I don't remember.
And this boss is very different than the Super Nintendo version in that, like, you can set yourself up and just wreck this boss, like, no problem. I mean, you can wreck the boss in the Super Nintendo version, too, but this has 4 different pieces that you have to shoot and navigate around, while it has a little, you know, encirclement of, I don't know, like, options from Gradius in it, protecting it. So you just go around and boom, dead with the flamethrower, just like everything else, really.
Yeah.
And here we are on the final stage.
This is, in my opinion, the worst stage. Not so much that it's hard, it's so much that it can be unfair if you don't understand the aliens running at you mechanic, because sometimes they'll jump over a gap and you don't know they're coming, and you hit them in the gap and you'll die and lose your flamethrower.
Yep.
Lost a lot of runs to that. And especially the final fight, too, when the aliens just keep coming from both sides. Sometimes they can get real sketch real quick because you can have some tight corridors to deal with. So, but this is probably the best mini boss in the game right here.
Yeah, this is the final boss from Super C. So they kind of, in the Super Nintendo version, they kind of give you the final boss from the previous 2 Contra games right back to back. You got the big heart, which is not much of a boss, and then they give you this, which is quite a bit more challenging when you play on the Super Nintendo version than this one, but that's okay. And then I think we don't have the wall climb here, so we just go right to...
We go right to the final boss.
Right, well, which, again, is not even, like, the fake final boss in the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah.
It's just the, this is a boss from Super C. It's not... the final boss from Super C, but as you see, not much of a boss in this game either. Yeah. Because that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the show, because just that quickly. I gotta be very clear. If you do that without the flamethrower, it takes way longer. The arms of the little snake boss are way crazier to deal with. Very scary. So Ariel did a great job maintaining the flamethrower and taking that boss down real quick.
Yeah, as that fight progresses, it gets harder and harder, simply because not only do you have to deal with the snake arms coming out, or eventually the mouth breathing once you take down the snake arms,
that's
but
right.
you have a continuous swarm of enemies coming from the left and the right side of the screen
you have to be very
that you
careful
also
about
have to deal with. And if you jump too high, the enemy hitbox will kill you, and you lose spread. You have to go back to your regular gun, and it's all sorts of just suck if it happens.
Absolutely. And we missed out on some sweet tie-in lore, of course, between Batgun and Contra. So after Batman killed Jack Napier, he was like, oh man, maybe I should stop killing people and behave a little bit. So he sold all of his guns to Contra guy. And that was just in time before the alien invasion started on Earth. So perfect timing there.
So now going into Solar Striker, the Contra guy was like, you know what, I got to the aliens. So then he took the flying Batmobile and transformed it into this is now the Batjet, and has taken it to space after the aliens. So
you gotta take them down on their home turf now.
Solar Striker. Anyway, I was surprised you didn't put Solar Striker in the first remix.
You know, you gotta spread this out. The biggest mistake I think you can make if you're planning long term for these multi-game races is to load up the first race too deep, and because then you don't have as much to pull from the next time. You don't want to you make it too good the first time out, then people might not come back subsequent times, you know? So we had to save this one for the third one. And boy, let me tell you, people were really thrilled that we finally put Solar Striker on a Tiny 10 Remix. I can't even tell you. all the comments that I received about people just being super excited about this game being on the list. No, everyone hates this game apparently, except for the people on this call right here.
Yeah, I love Solar
This
Striker.
game's awesome. I have my sealed copy right. Oh, it's not here anymore. I moved it. I put it away. But yeah, I had a sealed copy like within arm's reach of my streaming setup, like for a very long time. That's how much I like this game.
Yeah, I think Solar Striker was one of the first shmups to come out for Game Boy. So it's a pretty basic game.
Yeah.
Like the power-up system is exceptionally basic. Like you pick up a power-up that says P, you can only power up your gun with 2 or 3 times. Real basic maneuvering, left, right, forward. Enemies come from the top of the screen. Pretty basic shooting. Doesn't really become a bullet hell all too much. But the music is phenomenal. The sprite work is very well done for an early Game Boy shmup. It's just a very enjoyable game.
I have a soft spot for Gunpei Yokoi developed games too.
That's yeah,
and this one is, and you could sort of see his love for shmups creep into Super Mario Land as well, with those couple of stages where they just straight up become shmups. So he made his own actual shmup, and while opinions may vary, I admire that. It's a genre that I admire. You covered pretty much everything else that I could have said, Belvic. I agree completely.
Yeah, it is just a scary game for putting into a race like this, because outside other shmups that were in Tiny Town, like R-Type and Nemesis/Gradius, they offer continues, or at least an option to have like 99 lives, so you can get through them pretty easily. This one, however, has no continues. You only start with 3 lives, basically, if you count the one you actually start with. And every 50,000 points, I believe, you do get an extra life. But it makes it a little bit scary, but if you know this game, if you play it 3 times, you should know it well enough to only die a few times, then it's not that bad to die, because your power only goes down 1 stage instead of just losing everything, because that would make it impossible if you lost everything.
Yeah. I think blind this game took me like an hour.
Yeah, that seems like a fair assessment for that. Like you said earlier, this game does not really become a bullet hell. Sometimes when you leave too many enemies on screen, you might have to dodge a little bit more than usual. But luckily, the patterns are completely set, like in most shmups, basically. But in this one, it's even more simple, because they usually go left to right and backwards. So you can really anticipate for that. The only bullet hell that does exist in this game is the Stage 4 boss, which was the goal for the original Tiny 10, because that one actually does prove a challenge if you don't know what you're doing, and you can die easily there and lose all your lives. But if you know the pattern, there's actually a really easy way to just dodge everything. So yeah, putting the full game in this is definitely not a bad choice.
Yeah. And again, just looking at the HUD, very basic shoot 'em up, basically a standard shoot 'em up HUD as well too. Bottom right corner, you have your credits, your lives, and then in the middle you have your high score, because we know how much the high score mattered back in the day on the Game Boy.
I can't even tell you how many times people have come to me and said, "Hey, did you see the new high score for Solar Striker?" And I said, "No, because you're not a real person that exists talking to me right now." Yeah, I do think that the understated HUD is pretty good for a game like this, especially since the power-ups are so basic. And I think there's something to be said for shmups that have a very basic power-up system, or almost a non-existent power-up system in some of them, where you just like your weapon improves when you beat a stage. You don't really have a choice over the matter.
Right.
I mean, I think that's an interesting way to do it. Obviously that's one of the big varieties in shmups, whether you have top-down, side-scrolling, or a combination of the two, but then also how your power-up system works. And there's about 1 million different ways to do that across different shmups. And this one keeps it very simple. And I think that's to its benefit, because it is a pretty early Game Boy game. And You know, it could have really overthought itself. And
Right.
It said, like, you know what, let's just keep it simple. Let's try to make it pretty basic, ramp up the challenge, and not be too crazy with it. And I think it works out pretty well.
Yeah, you can definitely tell this is a very early on Game Boy game as well, too. If you know much about Game Boy development early on, the sprite work and just the amount of sprites on screen, typically developers kind of took it easy, simply because they kind of just didn't know the capacity of what the Game Boy could do.
Right.
It wouldn't be until like late 1991, 1992 when really like they started like understanding like the capacity of what this Game Boy is capable of. Sometimes to the good and sometimes to the bad. But I mean, we have such games as Link's Awakening, you know, on the Game Boy, which is a very large game, you know, for a handheld. You have Pokemon, which is a very large game for the handheld device. But then you have some other games that are just very short but very lag and performance heavy issues. Like you have Kirby's Dream Land, which is a very cute game and a beloved game on the Game Boy, but it's very riddled with performance issues, just like Kirby's Adventure is on the NES. So it was kind of the experimentation era of the Game Boy at that point.
Yeah, it's highly dependent on mostly the size of the sprites when it comes to Game Boy games. Like, if you look at Solar Striker, everything is pretty tiny, so it doesn't take too much out of the Game Boy system itself to be able to put more on there, even though this is, like, pretty basic. Like, there's not that much background or things like that in it.
Right.
But it's way easier for a game to run like this. If you look, for example, to R-Type on Game Boy, they used a little bit bigger sprites. Still not that big, but they went too big for the Game Boy, at least, which causes a lot of lag. And if you look at Nemesis or Gradius, at least the first one, that game runs pretty smoothly, actually, for a very intense shmup on Game Boy, because they just limited themselves to like very tiny sprites. And when they went to the sequel, they kept those tiny sprites, but they went all out on backgrounds and other graphics, and that game still runs pretty smoothly. So it's amazing that they could have pulled that off, actually.
What's that other shmup that you really like? That big robot Gundam guy?
Yeah, Battle Unit Zero.
That
one has huge sprites, but it still runs amazingly well because there's just not that much other information going on at the screen.
I mean, that's where you talk about the difference between early Game Boy and late Game Boy.
Yeah.
Especially with regards to shmups, because I mean that game really packs the punch when it comes to visuals. But yeah, like it again, it's fairly basic, but I mean the sprite work is really sophisticated for the Game Boy.
Yes.
And that's a very different type of shmup as well. But, you know, side scrolling, you have kind of full character control. You can scroll the screen up and down though as well. So yeah, that's a real neat game. We had that in Tiny 10 Remix number 2.
Yeah, you can compare it a little bit to Beret Fighter.
Yeah.
But with bigger sprites.
Much bigger,
bigger sprites.
Yeah. I like Beret Fighter.
It's a fun game. Yeah, sadly you have to play on the highest difficulty to get the actual landing for that game. The easy mode is really kind of boring, actually. And also one of the only Game Boy games that is copy protected, kinda.
Yeah. I'm waiting for you to drop Poppin' Twinbee into Tiny 10 here soon.
It's not that bad, but I think a lot of people will have trouble getting through that game.
I just want to see people shoot bells and not know what they do.
Yeah.
Poppin' Twinbee is probably my favorite shoot 'em up of all time, too, so... Fun fact.
I like it, too.
I'm a big fan of Poppin' Twinbee. It's just hard to find a copy of it.
Parody is also very good on Game Boy, but that one might actually be a little bit too hard for a race.
Was hard.
Parodius is like that. Some Parodius games are really easy and some are like crazy stupid hard.
Yeah, there's just one stage in the Game Boy version that is just absolutely brutal. It wouldn't be much fun. I think people would get stuck there for a long time.
Or Zaz.
I haven't played Zaz, actually, but, yeah.
you're in for a treat. I can't wait till I win a raffle.
Well, at least it's not Sagaya, which is
Well, there you see Ariel has found the safe spot for the boss here.
Yeah. And stage 5 is done. Moving on to stage 6, which I believe is the final stage
that is
of
correct,
Soul
yeah.
Striker. Yeah. Yeah, Ariel doing a very, very nice job in Solar Striker right now. Smart Alec as well.
I know this is a game that gave Ariel a little pause too. He was kind of worried about it. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, people, you know, it's very much a genre that, you know, people either like or don't like, you know, kind of in general. It's like some people might like some platformers, but not other platformers. But usually people like shmups or don't like shmups. So it can be very polarizing in that regard. But yeah, you know, I didn't want to put anything that was too great. There's not really any crazy, except for like Sagaya, shmups on the game with Sagaya. Like, there's no good version of Sagaya.
I like shmups. I'm just really, really bad at them.
I think a lot of people feel that way too. That it can be a daunting genre because it has such a reputation for it. But it, you know, like anything else, you know, you get a little bit more used to it, a little bit more familiar, put a little bit of practice in, and it's really not even that difficult to get decent at because so much of it is predetermined or based on. Not so much in this game, but a lot of shmups, you're trying to reduce the lag and just stay alive, and that just comes with familiarity more than really anything else. So, you know, fortunately, we see these top 3 runners here. They definitely put that time in to become familiar with all of the games, and this is no exception. And they're reaping the benefits of that by their progress that they're making through here.
Those fireballs that come from the top of the screen are terrifying because they come so fast, and if you don't have the fully power-up gun, you can't kill them, I don't think, at all. You have to get out of their way, and sometimes you're just like, oh, there's 3 on the screen magically now, and I didn't see it before.
I think a lot of, at least younger people, like maybe 10 years younger than us, are kind of afraid of shmups because they mostly have seen the bullet hell games. Because that was so
that's kind of what I
popular.
meant by the reputation.
Yeah, during that time, and shmups aren't like that. Like, it's a complete subgenre of shmup games.
Yeah.
They are really not that tough compared to those, at least. Then again, I just recently played the R-Type arcade games. Holy.
Well, I mean, you got to remember that in those days, the whole point was to get to steal your money 1 quarter at a time. So
the point was the quarters.
Yeah, so they weren't trying to make that game beatable. They were just trying to get you real flashy looking and good music. That's why shmups, like by and large, from game to game, as a genre, might have better music than any other genre. Because I mean, like, there's so much flash to the visuals, but then they add that soundtrack in that gets you pumped and keeps you wanting to play some more. And it's really easy to pump those quarters in at that point, even if you're not doing well.
Yeah.
R-Type is such a punitive game too when you die. That's a real brutal one when you die. That and Gradius, but at least at Gradius is a little easier. Well, not the arcade versions of Gradius. Arcade Gradius 3 is absolutely destructive. But yeah, those are 2 games that, as much as I love them, especially Gradius, can be real jerks when you die.
Yes.
And anything that can where your speed is a pickup is always a little bit iffy.
Yeah. And just a reminder to any new viewers popping in, goals for every single game, all 10 games, is beat the game.
That's right.
Start to finish. So, my first shmup was that 1943, The Battle of Midway on the NES. Because that was the game that I had growing up, and
that's tough.
That was...
Or 1942 is the real tough one, right?
I don't think I've played 1942.
Yeah. I think 1943 added some quality of life improvements over
it did,
1942.
Yeah. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Man, I wonder who's played this in commentary. This game is nothing like the NES game.
No, it's not. It's like, have you guys ever played Metal Gear? Because this is like Metal Gear.
Yeah, it really is. So Who Framed Roger Rabbit is broken out into very different scenes, and each scene poses a basically a different boss, so to speak, or a different ending. So much like the movie, if you've ever watched Roger Rabbit, the director gets shot and it's framed on Roger Rabbit, and it's up to Roger and Eddie to go figure out who did this. So at the start of the game, you get a phone call. It's like, hey, go talk to the director. He needs to talk to you. So you go up and talk to the director. And the director's like, something, 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 because I don't read dialogue. And you're off to go see Jessica Rabbit, because, hey, she's probably in trouble. And she's at the nightclub, and you need a passcode to get into the nightclub. It actually follows not too bad against the movie. So once you get this code here, you're gonna go to the nightclub, and the guard dog is gonna be like, "It's a password," and then you're going to give him the password. You're gonna see Jessica Rabbit on stage get kidnapped. So this is actually a super fun speedrun. I run this game actively still, so. That's basically it for episode, or scene 1 rather, of Roger Rabbit. It's pretty basic. So you have Psycho and Dylan and Stupid go and hijack Jessica Rabbit. You get a passcode. Then you're into scene 2 where you get to talk to Eddie, and Eddie's gonna be like, "Hey, hide in this closet because the weasels are after you." Just like in the movie, if you've ever seen the movie, which if you haven't, I highly recommend.
What are you doing? Stop watching this and go watch Roger Rabbit right now.
Well, okay, watch it after this, because we still have 2 more awesome games after this.
Yeah, how does Solar Striker tie into Roger Rabbit? That's a good question.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that, considering that we have a crossover between Disney and Warner Brothers in play, that there was definitely some alien technology brought back after Solar Striker that was either used for mind control or kind of some sort of financial gain that brought both sides together, that allowed the movie to take place in the first place, and then we get Roger Rabbit.
No, it's simple, because later on you get a gun that lets you shoot in directions.
Oh.
So here we are in scene 2. We have to go catch Stupid. And so we have to go to this bakery to get a piece of bread. And the baker's just like, "Oh, hey, the weasel stole my bread." So we're like, "Oh, okay. There he is. Let's go after him." And basically we get a piece of bread because he drops it, and then from there we have to go get some glue. So we're gonna quickly just place the bread down. The bread will actually, once you place it down on that scene, will actually force Roger to walk in place. We put the bread down first, since we're literally right there already at that screen. So now we're gonna go talk to Eddie, and Eddie's gonna be like, "Hey, I think there's some glue next door." After you pushed him out of his own glue. So you have to go get the glue and then put it in front of the bread, and you're gonna go catch Stupid, because, well, he's stupid.
I get it.
That glue thing took me a while to get Eddie out of it.
Yeah, it's really weird. Literally, I was going to walk into Eddie from the right-hand side.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just doesn't want to do anything. So this is the Metal Gear portion of Roger Rabbit. The weasels that shoot at you. A lot of the speedrun is literally just abusing your iframes and abusing damage, because every time you collect a carrot, it fully heals you. So, yeah. Literally Metal Gear Roger Rabbit. It's one of the greatest games of all time. So here, Roger's gonna be like, "Hey, we got some glue," and Eddie's gonna be like, "Cool, follow me." Which is very different than the NES version, because in the NES version, you play as Eddie, right? Like your lead as Eddie. It's been a while since I played the NES version, and Roger follows you, and then you have to dodge the weasels all the time. So this is a very different version than that of the NES. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop the glue down here, and Eddie's gonna be like, "Hey, I need to go back to the office." So Roger's gonna go and hide behind this building, as you do if you're Solid Snake, and then Stupid's gonna run and get stuck in the glue, and you're gonna go interrogate him.
The NES game you play as Eddie, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've.
You collect random stuff. I don't know. I saw Mike Matei play it, and I was like, "What is this game?"
Hey, did you guys know that he beat Ninja Gaiden once, and now he's the king of video games?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. No one's ever done that before, so God bless him.
I've beat Ninja Gaiden once.
Once,
Twice. 3 times.
A lady.
Alright, what episode? We're on episode 3. Which episode was this one? Oh, I think this is where we get the gun. So, Eddie's like, "Hey, go to the factory. There's a present there for you." So you gotta go to the factory, and I believe there's gonna be a guy in a back room. I said, like, "Hey, I don't need this anymore. Take this," and he gives you a gun. The fun fact about the weasels: if they don't know that you're there, you can walk through them without being damaged. The weasel pattern is actually, you can actually manipulate the weasel pattern based off of how you enter the screen and how you alert them. You can actually manipulate their walking patterns. Yeah, this is one of my favorite Game Boy speedruns. I didn't think I'd like it because I did it casually, but when I learned the speedrun, I was like, I was all for this game, especially the later levels.
Yeah, when I first learned about this for Tiny 10 number 9, I believe it was, I was like, Roger Rabbit, because the NES game has such a nasty reputation. And then I saw this, like, oh my god, I can't wait to put this in a remix! Because it's just such a cool game.
So good. It's so different, too. Yeah.
And this is really why I love the Game Boy so much, because there is so much stuff like that subverts expectations and really gets the most out of some pretty limited hardware. And it's just great to see. I love finding out that either consoles I owned and had not many games for when I was a kid, or consoles I never really got to play very much, turns out have amazing libraries. And while I knew Game Boy was good as a kid, that was one that I just didn't have that many games for. So, I mean, with you guys, you two in particular, doing your own individual stuff, but then putting on these Tiny 10 races, it's like such a revelation. And then, that's why we do the remix, because it's basically just an excuse for me to be able to see and sometimes play a whole bunch of awesome Game Boy games that I may have missed out on because I didn't know about the original Tiny 10s until the 5th one.
Yeah, so Ariel takes the train and it's super slow. It sucks, but luckily that's the only time you'll get to see the train in the run. All those windows are actually loaded with weasels ready to shoot at Roger, and you can't walk past them with your normal shoes. We're about to face off against, I forgot this weasel's name, but we're getting some bullets out of that desk real quick, and you're going to see, once we get to the top of the building here, the weasel's gonna be on some balloons, and the hitboxes for these balloons are questionable at best, but you're gonna see that we can control the bullets. We can turn them left and right here, so basically Roger's got to stay in one spot, and 2 hits and down goes the weasel, and now we just walk back down and talk to him in the back alley where he fell and broke his back. You will notice that you actually don't kill any enemies in this game, you merely just knock them out, so Hero doing a nice job catching up though with Ariel, and same with Alec as well too. So here we're gonna talk to, I think his name is Smarty, or no, Greasy. We're gonna talk to Greasy. Greasy's gonna give us some shoes. and they're called speedy shoes. So how we had to take the train before, we no longer have to take the train now. We can literally outrun all of the bullets on the screen. This is where the speed run really starts to become an actual speed run. There, you may not see like by the eye the difference of speed, but you're going to see it right here as soon as Roger enters the Mafia alley. See your bullets. If you were to walk normally, all of those bullets hit you and kill you. You can't make it through the screen. So
dying in this game means you have to restart from the
episode.
Beginning of the episode or the stage. So.
Yep. Yeah, dying in this game is very unforgiving because you can get to literally the very end of it. Best character in Roger Rabbit, by the way, is the baby that smokes cigars.
Yep.
The baby's gonna give us an axe, so he's like, I can't use this. Here you go. Because we have to get Benny out of impound. But yeah, you won't see the train anymore because the train's super slow, just like the tank in Contra. So, but going back to your point, Enemy, about Game Boy games, I remember watching you run Contra on the Super Nintendo, and I was like, why don't you just play the Game Boy version? And then you laughed at me. You're like, oh, there's a Game Boy version.
I had no
like,
idea.
yeah.
I had none idea.
I was like, yeah, Alien Wars.
I mean, I knew Operation C existed, but I knew that wasn't,
right.
You know,
Yeah,
Contra
no.
3.
And then you were like, oh, all right, I'll check it out. And you're like, oh, this is... I'm like, yep, there you go. Have at her.
Yeah,
So,
they did a really good job with it.
They did. So we're going into the impound lot. We got free Benny here. All right. So basically, give us a whistle. We're going to use it right away. If you mash start right here on this cutscene, if you hit the frame just right with the start button, you can skip the first encounter with Psycho.
All right, let's see what we got here.
And you got it. All right.
Oh, fantastic! All right, so Ariel's loving life right now.
You literally just mash the start button during that cutscene, and you can skip the first encounter with Psycho, which is a godsend because Psycho can be a little bit of a pain to take off because you have to punch him from a car, and Psycho is Psycho and drives all over the place.
So now, if you don't get it though, let everyone know what can happen. Like,
oh, if you don't get the skip, you have to fight Psycho on your way to Eddie's, and then you have to fight Psycho again. And it's the same fight. Psycho throws bombs, which the hitboxes are quite
terrible.
good.
They're enormous.
And yeah, once you punch Psycho's car down, he's down for the count. And you move on to scene 5. Where I think this is where we take on Smarty. I always get Greasy and Smarty confused, so because they both wear a hat, the same hat. So before this dock was blocked off, and now we have access to it. Like again, we're gonna do some more Metal Gear here. And again, depending on where you enter the screen and how you move about through the screen, you can manipulate the weasel's movement. So, a lot of times during the speed run, we'll enter a screen and you're gonna be like, "Why are they entering from there? Wouldn't it be faster to go to this one?" Maybe, but the fact that we can manipulate the movement to be a very static step point where we don't have to take a ton of damage right away, we do it that way. So we're gonna face off against Smarty. Smarty can be challenging because you're going to get to the middle of the screen and you're just gonna sit there and punch. However, if Smarty gets too close to you, or if one of his goons just happens to get out of place, Roger's dead. You get to start the whole episode over again. So Smarty down now. We know where Doom's hideout is, so we're gonna equip our speed shoes again because this is a speed run after all, and we are going to run over to Doom's hideout now that we have the key. Getting to Doom's hideout is simple. The hardest part is the enemies that throw barrels at you, because the barrel hitbox is really good too. If
wow,
the barrel
they're
does,
even gorillas, huh? That's
yeah.
I wonder what this is in reference to.
But if you get hit by a barrel, you get flattened. Fun fact: if you were to leave the house right there, those 2 carrots would be gone. So when you talk to Eddie, Eddie basically tells you, or shows, he helps you in some way. I don't remember what Eddie does. No one talks to Eddie in this portion. But this is a kind of a where the heck do I go type deal. If you choose the wrong door or the wrong step, you get sent back to the beginning of the hideout. Here, Mario took a lot of damage there.
Yeah, he has to go back now.
That screen is probably the hardest screen in the speedrun, because if you're not quick enough, you're going to take damage, and you can't afford to take damage at all. So you have to remain at 3 hearts. So Doom's going to be like, hey, come chase me if you can. And this screen here is Metal Gear screen, where if you walk down the center, it opens up a hole, and you fall into it and go to the start of the house. So here we are at the Doom fight, where we just pull out our punching glove and punch Doom in the face until he is exploding.
Yeah, that's why you need full health to do the quick kill on Doom, so you can just tank it. And like when it comes to those pitfalls right before Doom, at least they don't kill you like in Metal Gear on NES.
That's true.
And especially they're not as worse as the ones in Snake's Revenge, where they are so fast that you can't even move. Which was very fun when I played through that game 3 weeks ago and got stuck in the final stage for like 2 hours.
I laughed at you so much playing that game.
So I believe going into our penultimate game right now, with Ariel still in the lead, he is almost 4 minutes ahead of his best time right now. Which you love to see in a race, when someone comes through and posts their best time in a race. That is just awesome. So, good job for Ariel so far, but we still do have 2 games left, and we're on, I don't know, the greatest game ever made, would you say?
Second greatest game.
What's the first?
Trip World, because Mo loves it.
Yeah, it's true. Mo can't get enough Trip World, that's true.
Yeah, the lore between the games is very easy. It's like after Roger defeated Doom in Toon World, it was time for them to move to Japan and meet the Warner Brothers character of Japan, which is Nubo.
That's true. My favorite thing about Nubo was the fact that you sent me the YouTube link of all of the Nubo episodes. And the episode of which they're on the seesaw. Fuck, I like how you just scoop that whale.
You scoop the whale up in a bucket. It's so good.
And the seesaw episode where all of Nubo's friends are trying to seesaw with him and they're not moving, and then his friend opens his mouth and pulls out an elephant or a giraffe or whatever it was, and then elephant, the seesaw is just top tier.
Yeah, the Nubo cartoon is
weird.
Amazing.
Weird.
And weird.
Nubo is very popular in Japan as well too. If you look at a lot of stuff, or if you look at Japan, if you look at Nubo in Japan, it's very popular. There's a lot of things Nubo related. Japan loves its puffy boys, that's for sure.
Smart Alec now switching over to Nubo as well, and it looks like he is also nearly 4 minutes ahead of his PB. So this is great. We got the top 2 runners right now are doing an excellent job relative to their PBs for these 10 games. That's awesome to see.
And we have Hero entering the final scene of Roger Rabbit, which, in my opinion, is the second easiest scene in the run. First one being scene 1, just because you just have to save or find Jessica. And then we have Ross Piggott in Wario Land. I don't know.
Here's the question that I have for you guys. are either Ruspigan or Fetty going to beat Wario Land before someone finishes the entire race?
Mo is probably very quick at answering that.
Yeah,
since-
Ross is in World 3 out of... I'm not sure which stage, though. Like, it's either the 3rd or the 4th stage out of that world, so he still has at least 12 stages to go.
Oh,
Feta is definitely in World 4, but again, not sure which stage. It might be the first one, actually, so also like 10 stages or 9 to
man.
go. So, I don't know. I don't think Ross is gonna be able to. Maybe Feta, but yeah, it depends
So-
on how fast they go through these things.
not to undermine anyone who is a strong desire to do these blind, but I almost want to encourage them to just not wake up. I kind of wish we had done that up front. I didn't. I thought like maybe everybody knew that. I don't really want to tell them to reset, but at the same time, you know,
It would be faster.
it would be way faster.
Yeah.
Like, I
Oh,
kind of
well,
want to
yeah.
see if someone can beat it before.
Wow, we have Nubo right in an elevator here.
I mean, Nubo and Castlevania are both around 30-minute games, so you know we have about an hour left in the
Yeah.
marathon, give or take. Castlevania can certainly go sideways, so you know nothing's guaranteed there. But
When I saw you put Castlevania 2
Yeah.
in, I was just like, ooh, I'm like, we're putting out big guns for this one.
Yep. Oh yeah,
And some people received it really well. Like I too for the Game Boy as well,
Mhm.
and it's not an easy speedrun.
no,
it's
it's not.
very hard.
But I mean, to me, it's very much trying to get more out of the Tiny 10 races that have already been done as well. So a lot of
Right.
people have played the game up through the first 4 stages anyway. And I mean, really, that's where the game starts to get difficult after those 4 stages. But, you know, you should be able to build off of that familiarity that you already had with the Tiny 10 number 5 goal. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, I felt that was okay to to make it a little bit more challenging. And plus, like that game's so awesome. Like that's another one where I've just been
It's
itching
so
to get
good.
it into a remix, and now was the time.
It is the best Game Boy Castlevania game.
Yes, which is not really high praise, but
Legends isn't bad.
that's okay. Legends also non-canonical.
Yeah. But then you have Adventure. That game is just a heap of garbage.
Yeah, everyone hates that game. So it's a good thing that Konami put that in the Castlevania collection
God.
and not Adventure Rebirth, which everyone
Yeah.
loves.
Or Belmont's Revenge,
Yeah, I know.
which is arguably one of the better Castlevania games from that time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, Nubo got his acorn on Hero Scream.
Yep.
Here you go, Sir Squirrel. Can you please walk on the wheel? Thank you. Well, you got a doggo here. Gotta go play fetch with the doggo. Always a good boy. What a game. Let's leave it to Irem to just think of a game like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they could have come up, like they could have done so many different things, Nubo, because like typically like quote unquote food-based video games are either like Puyo Puyo styled video games or like Burger Time Deluxe, or they're like out to, what's that, out to eat
Out to
or
lunch.
whatever, out to lunch.
Yep.
Yeah. Like they're never anything.
What's the one where you're a chef? It's for the NES. It's like super stupid expensive cart.
Kitchen Panic?
Restaurant Panic, right?
Fresh
That's
Pop Area.
Yeah.
on Game Boy
yeah,
it's Kitchen.
There's that. Yeah, okay. And then and you Pizza Pop. So I mean, yeah. Oh God, Yonoid. I just remembered that game existed.
Yonoid, that's a game.
Ugh.
Oh, that's a fun game.
Okay.
Well, okay, just because you don't enjoy good
listen. I didn't say you were wrong. Fun is a relative thing. Okay.
Was I the one that made you play Yonoid?
You're one of many who have made me play Yonoid. I'm sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. A lot of wonderful people out there in the world who respect Yonoid.
I like you. I like Yonoid. I have a complete box of it over there on the shelf.
Oh,
I
man.
like Yonoid a lot. It's hard, but I
see.
do
I took
enjoy
those
it.
commercials very seriously, and I try to avoid the Noid personally.
Those commercials were weird.
I barely even remember those commercials, to be honest.
So yeah, this is Yonoid. This is Yonoid.
This is Yonoid. If this was Yonoid, I would love Yonoid.
So this is Nubo, basically. So it's just like a puzzle adventure game.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And it's... I don't know, like, I haven't played through all of it myself, but how would you say this stacks up to other ones? It seems like, you know, once you kind of understand the back and forth of it, it's not too difficult to figure out when you're playing blind. You know, it might be a little slower, obviously, but, you know, it's not like crazy esoteric nonsense that you see in some adventure-type games.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, it's an adventure game. Like, once you know where to... It's a pretty straightforward, simple game.
Sure.
The charm to it is definitely the sprites and the music and the fact that it's Nubo. The deterrent to it is it's slow as crap.
It is really
so.
Yeah, this was another late edition that was, you know, I wanted to put in, and then I was like, it's a little bit long for, you know, this type of race. And then, you know, when we had to adjust some games around to make sure we had something from each Tiny 10, now that there have been 10 of them, this made its way back in, and I was happy to do it because, you know, it was just a matter of time before this was going to be in there. And I thought that this was a good counterbalance to Castlevania right after it, since this is, you know, not painstakingly difficult. You get to relax a little bit before you go through hell. So that's kind of the thinking behind this. But I mean, this game is absolutely adorable.
Yeah, I know when Mo typically makes the list for the Tiny 10, he always tries to put a puzzle game somewhere around the middle-ish for that nice break. And then ramps it up with Super Mario Land 2 and then gets really upset and breaks controllers.
This is definitely much more the type of puzzle game that I like. I am not a Tetris type of puzzle person.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I mean, Kirby Star Stacker is fine because that's a pretty easy game too.
Yes.
And we had that in obviously in a Tiny 10, but also the first Tiny 10 remix.
Yep.
So I mean, like those sort of things are much better. But this, you know, where it's basically a platformer, but you have to do, I mean, like the world's basicest platformer to get items that you need to progress. I mean, it very much in line with my tastes. So
I like that crow had a shovel in its mouth.
well, I mean, that's do crows not eat shovels where you're from?
I mean, they might. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's true. See, we don't have crows here. We have ravens, so that's no shovel eating.
Yeah, I guess we have both here. Ravens are way cooler though. Are we gonna have another fight?
No, I don't. Even though I live in Baltimore, I don't like the Ravens. So
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But I mean, like, if you look at a crow versus a raven, you're like, what's the difference? Well, the raven looks scragglier, looks meaner, and actually sounds.
One of them
meaner,
has a pretty sick poem by a guy who did a lot of opium. So you know.
Yeah. And that's the mole from Mole Mania, by the way.
I don't know if this is tipping my hand too much, but Mole Mania was at one point on this list. So, you know, get prepared, everyone. That's coming at some point to one of these remixes.
Full game.
Oh, yeah, no, it'll definitely be full game.
Full game, all stages.
All stages.
I don't know about that, but but definitely full game. Or definitely beat the game, I should say.
I think that game took me 15 hours blind.
Well, it was either that or the cat game, whatever that one is. Cat Trap? Is that what it's called?
The Trap, yeah. That game sucks.
100 stages of garbage.
This is my favorite part of Nubo. Boop. Tiny Nubo.
Tiny Nubo!
Yeah, Mole Mania. The speedrun, the any percent glitch speedrun of Mole Mania is super fun.
Yeah.
And I definitely motivate you all to check it out. It's super cool. It's out of bound tricks with some memory overloading. Super cool stuff.
Yeah.
But
and that's a fun game anyway. Mole
it
Mania.
is.
Yeah, that's a real cool game.
Frustrating at the end, but yes, we have to fight against Jinbei. But all stages. The game blind took me 15 hours.
Wow.
I think it was. All stages, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it took Yumbo around the same time, didn't it?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
longer. I don't know. Like the final stages broke me, mostly because I had been playing for 4 hours to just get there. I wanted to get it over with.
I did that game in 2 streams, and I was like, this game like this again.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. Absolutely not.
Just mind-numbing. It just gets mind-numbing now. But a cute game. That's a Super Game Boy enhanced game as well too. So.
And now he's giant again.
Big Nubo, here we go. Whoop. Yeah, turn on the rain machine. That's how rain's made, everyone.
Yep.
Nubo turns it on for us. Oh yeah, what, 2 more stages, I think, left to Nubo?
Yes.
Nubo learns to tightrope walk. So with this game, you're gonna see some shortcuts as well too with puzzles. Some of them are gonna put blocks on basically the last pixel of a platform, and they're gonna use that for Nubo to climb up to a certain segment at times too. Typically, some of the times you have to go around with this block and go to a certain way. But if you place things just right, you can skip certain parts of the stage and obviously make the run a bit faster.
Pinball Land has not been in Tiny.
Oh, don't. That's
there
not
are
even
reasons.
a game.
There are reasons for that.
That's not a game.
Oh no, Ariel messed up a little bit there. It's
Yeah.
fine. You can reset it. It's no big deal.
Yeah. This is where I was talking about where like you gotta be a little precise and stuff. Yeah, Kirby's Pinball Land is not a. It just doesn't exist. I'd rather have the Gator pinball game in.
Tailgater?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Well,
easy
that's
to
been
get
in a Tiny 10.
It's easy to get a high score in that. Everybody has done it very quickly, except for one
Well,
person. but-
except for one person. Poor guy. Yeah, no, Kirby's Pinball Land actually has an end game to it. You actually can defeat DDD and roll credits, but that game is just nightmare fuel. Because the
Revenge
game
of the Gator, not Tailgater.
Yeah, Revenge.
Oh,
of the
yeah,
Gator, 'cause
Tailgater's a different game. Sorry.
Yeah.
Tailgater's been in a Tiny 10 too, right?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
meant, yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong
yeah,
game.
yeah. Yeah, at this point, I forget what games were in what Tiny Tens, or even what games were in Tiny Tens at this point.
Basically 1/10 of the entire library.
Yeah. But out of the 9/10 that are left, how much of that is playable?
that's a different question.
I'm still waiting for to put Yonkin Man in. Best Game Boy game I've ever played. Best 6 minutes of my life. I can't believe you did not like that game.
No. I hate every game that has a mini game that has rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, it's
No,
so
it
easy.
doesn't
You
ma-
smash, you just
Alec-
smash A.
Yeah, I just hate it. I just don't want it in my games.
Missing out.
I think it all came from what is it, Alec
Shin-
Kit?
Shin-Chan.
No, Alec Kit on Master System. Like
I never played that.
the first game, like you have to defeat all the bosses with that as well, and I was like, why is this in a game? This is pure RNG. Why? And then you have to restart the entire game every time.
My
was
first,
like, no, I'm
my
out.
first experience with rock paper scissors in a video game was Shin-Chan, and I lost literally 25 runs to the rock paper scissors minigame of Shin-Chan.
Yeah, it should not be in a game. At
The
least
Alex
in
Kidd
Yonkin
community
Man,
is
it
going to be furious with you now.
doesn't.
Yeah, they're not going to be happy with you.
Well, too bad.
So here we go. I got Hero turning on the rain machine to water a beanstalk that they're going to climb. Smart Alec, basically where Ario just was, getting a flask of non-alcoholic fruit punch, and I'm pretty sure it's a flask, right? Pretty sure it's a flask.
It's not a flask.
Yeah. And then on Ariel's tree, we get the cookie jar with some vanilla wafers in it. And then we get a jetpack that is powered by vanilla wafer and non-alcoholic fruit punch. Nubo is very advanced for its time.
I just love the sound he makes when he's floating down.
The face, dude, the
Yeah.
face is so good. Oh, This is a giant potato floating from the sky. This game is pretty expensive too, isn't it, Mo? Nubo? Mo's not even listening to us anymore. He's done with us. I think this game is fairly pricey even. But it has a cute cover art. It's literally just like a bright yellow cover with Nubo's face right in the middle of it. You know, if you have a bucket in your hand and you get a nice wind burst, you can just go up in the sky like that. I love that you have to get the sun some water to cool off. Oh yeah, this is where Nubo meets Santa. This is the best part of the game. For those of you that thought Santa was fake, how dare you?
So those angels are just... Okay.
Keep climbing.
The,
Yeah, get Santa.
the Santa lore is somewhat different than I remember.
Wrong lure.
Yeah, I guess.
Well,
I like that
Rudolph is-
sweet Metal Gear Solid 3 ladder climb right there, too. What a thrill that was, right?
At least it had good music.
That's legitimately my favorite part of Metal Gear Solid 3. A game that I absolutely love. One of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, Metal Gear 3 is.
But that
my
freaking
favorite
ladder
Metal
climb
Gear.
is so good.
Get some wheeze in chat.
Yeah, so here Ariel is collecting presents to give to the guardian angels for Santa to do his thing. Whatever it is that Santa does.
Drinks and smokes, mostly.
Yeah, mainly. Eats really warm, gross milk and
Oh, yeah.
drinks a bunch of cookies. So
Yes. That's... Yep. Checks out.
Yeah, here in Belgium we don't have... Well, we do have Santa Claus, kinda, but we have Sinterklaas, which is on December 6th. That's where Santa Claus comes from, actually, from the same story. But he comes on a horse, so when we have to put our shoe, not sock, when we put our shoe out for Sinterklaas, it comes with a carrot and a good old beer.
huh.
That's... I like the way you do things in Belgium.
We've
Yeah.
always had to deal with Krampus, so
Good old Krampus.
In Dutchland it's on December 5th, for whatever reason.
Deutschland.
More weeing, yeah.
The best part about Nubo too is that, like, even though it is a and slow game, the music isn't invasive and it's actually enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah.
I have played many of long games with really bad music, and they're not a good time.
Would
I
be
like-
a nice teddy bear, yeah.
I just
It
love
could be like one of those beanbag noobos where you can lie on him or something.
Yeah, like a giant Nubo. Like
Yeah.
not a body pillow, because that's like a very specific thing that wouldn't work for Nubo.
Oh, almost like the
But, like-
Snorlaxes, like those giant
Yeah,
Snorlaxes.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm sure they exist.
If they don't, they will by the end of the stream.
Nubo learns how to skateboard. This is how Tony Hawk learned.
That's right. The Nubo Hawks Pro Skater. Do a
I'd buy
kickflip.
that game. I'd buy that game.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't? It's actually just solving a series of puzzles to learn how to do a kickflip.
So skate, getcha. I believe Ariel has all the presents now too, right?
I'm not
So
sure
they-
actually.
So I think they just have to go back to Santa. I just love how big Rudolph is at the top there. She's put on a few pounds, few weight. Yeah,
A few wait.
English is really hard when you haven't had coffee
I
yet.
mean, a lot of people don't know this, but Beltic's first language is not English.
It's not at all.
It's actually Creole Haitian, so he's doing pretty
It's true.
well.
It's true. Oh, that's right. You gotta. Ariel's gonna dig. I think Ariel's got one more section left to the Santa level, which actually
Yeah.
is pretty quick, I believe.
And this is also the section where you can actually soft lock a game, if I
True.
remember correctly. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
True story. Team Softlock, here we go. Yeah, I literally woke up at like 11. Oh, I got Tiny Tim in a half hour, and then Mo messaged me. He's like, "Hey, we're ready for you." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
In fairness, you did have the half an hour still, but I figured we were in there, so.
Yeah, I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
So
Just
I
wanted you to
didn't
know
have
that you could
coffee
join
or
whenever, not that you had to get in at that exact time. We get Tiny Nubo again.
Hell yeah. Tiny Nubo is my favorite part of this game.
Just when you thought the game couldn't get cuter, it gets cuter.
It's just this potato sack just walking around. Oh, and we get presents.
Wait, which makes you more Swedish? Swedish meatballs or Swedish fish?
Meatballs, 100%. Meatballs were way better than Swedish fish. Swedish fish are like halfway disgusting. Like they're good, like the flavor is good, but they're too chewy. If you don't get like a fresh batch of them out of the bag, they get stale really quick and they get really chewy and kind of gross.
An update on Ross and Feta, they're both in the same exact stage,
Yeah,
which is,
they seem to be.
yeah,
The worst stage, which is the
Yeah.
owl.
well, that's a part where you don't need to be, but this is one of the most confusing stages in the game, actually, to find the exit, so it makes sense that they're both stuck there.
By the way, the real answer was eating that wacky pizza that Swedish people eat. Where they just take an entire salad and dump it on top of a pizza, and then put, like, ranch dressing on top. Yeah.
Oh, ranch is gross too.
I don't think it's actually ranch dressing. That's just what it looks like. I hope it's not.
What they call it? What do you?
I think it's kebab pizza.
Sweets,
Oh,
what do
that's
Swedes
garlic
call-
sauce then.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
What does Swedes call ranch? American
Probably American
flavor?
sauce. Yeah.
American flavor. or
which
something
which
like that?
100% true. By
Oh
the
yeah,
way.
120% true. Yeah, ranch is disgusting.
Ranch is
I'll
gross.
say it. I'll
Yeah.
say
Nope,
it.
you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Ranch is one of those things. Ranch and like Doritos are things in my life that most of the time I'm like, that's gross. I never want to eat it. And then like every so often I'm like, I really want to have some Doritos. And not for the reasons you probably think, chat.
See, I like the nacho cheese Doritos.
But like for the most part, I'm like, this is just disgusting. It's all chemical garbage and like just like so overwhelming. Speaking of overwhelming, we're on to our final game here.
We are. We're on to
Belmont's Revenge, baby.
Which is the second Castlevania Game Boy game to be released. The game is kind of broken off into two halves. You get to go into a level choice where you get to choose between 4 different castles. And then it kind of breaks off into, you go into Dracula's castle at that point. You are playing as Christopher Belmont in this game. Fun fact on that, no Simon, no Trevor this time around.
No Richter.
No Richter.
But we do get the best Belmonts.
No Soleil.
Soleil.
Yeah.
Which...
yeah, so in this game you get 2 whip power-ups. The first one is just your standard whip length, and the second one lets you basically shoot a fireball at the end of it. These enemies here shooting out these barrels. If the barrel touches you, you lose whip power and take damage. So, not optimal at all. With the ropes here, you can slide down them very quickly. In that candle wick right there is another whip power-up, which our runners will be getting. That's a static power-up. Every candle in this game, much like most Castlevanias, will have a static power-up at each candle wick. This game has a little bit of damage boosting through it, which you won't see until much later. The biggest thing of this game are the secret areas that you can enter, or shortcuts that you can take, which we'll see one shortcut for sure in the speedrun. We probably won't see any secret areas at all, though. For the controls in this game, the controls are tight. Much like a normal Castlevania game. That's brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got enough of a lead where that's not, catastrophic.
Yeah.
But I mean, that puts him in such a rough shape because, as you see, he just got his first whip upgrade, so he's down a whip upgrade from where he was, and now he goes back in the stage as well. It just and he loses hearts as well, so it's just all the way back.
Yeah, and it doesn't have an axe anymore.
And doesn't. Oh, right,
Yeah.
of course, yeah. Well,
No
it's
axe.
a sub-weapon.
The checkpoints in this game are not friendly at all either. And yeah, the biggest thing is, even if you know that the next screen is just a normal screen and not a pit, if you don't at least touch the rope when you're going into the bottom screen, you will die. Just like any other Castlevania game. It's very unfriendly when it comes to things like that. And like you just saw on this screen here again, if things don't line up in your favor, it can pose to be an issue. However, there is a decent amount of wall meat in this game, though.
Yeah.
Compared to other Castlevanias, there is quite a bit of wall meat in this game.
Oh, luckily there's another axe right there.
Yeah, I think they give you an additional opportunity to get an axe as well when you're in that. Oh, maybe not. No, you don't get an axe in that final zone right before the boss. So never mind. I think you get holy water there.
You get holy water.
Yeah.
Yep.
The rope room. So obviously the ropes are going in multiple directions here, and you want to go a very specific route so that you can minimize your time spent on the ropes and you go faster.
So Ariel opted not to do the damage boost through the pulleys. So with these, what you can do with the ropes is that they transition every few seconds. And what you can do is that if you get up the rope fast enough, you can actually damage boost and use your iframes to go through the rope pulley, and not have to waste the time to jump to other ropes.
And speaking of, here is the aforementioned room before the boss, or room with the boss, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hear the music changes to kind of let you know that stuff is popping off.
The cool thing about this game too is that the backgrounds, like, they'll flicker, they'll change. Like, there's actually a lot of complexity to these stages, even though it is a very basic core game. But to the controls again, like I said, the controls pretty tight for Castlevania. The jumps are pretty tight. The movement is a bit slower paced. So in here, you're gonna use the axe. You're gonna hit both sections of this boss. The boss is basically gonna shoot its vertebrae out at you, and then once the boss hits 0 hit points, it's GG on that one.
Considering how quickly Ariel defeated the boss, would you call him a vertebreaker?
Oh, nice whip in the air. So you're gonna see Ariel also throw away all their hearts. All of our runners should be doing this before the counter comes in, because as you see, it's taken 1,000 years for the screen to go away, because it's gonna count all of the time that you had left, and how much health you had, and then it'll also count how many hearts that you had. So you want to get rid of all of your hearts if you can at the end. This is an okay stage. The problem with this stage is the water current. It's pushing you back and slowing you down. You can also have enemies in here, the absolute just jerks in this game as well too, because they swoop down at you. Overall though, the stage isn't too bad. Yeah, overall the stage isn't awful. It's just understanding where your power-ups are and where your hearts are going to be. Because this is Crystal Castle, I believe. Which, in my opinion, I think is the second easiest castle. The first one being the Plant Castle.
Oh yeah, and people are wondering how Nubo and Castlevania tied together. Nubo is actually a mascot for chocolate, and well, he met up with another chocolate mascot, Count Chocula, which is of course the nephew of Dracula, and that's how we get to Castlevania.
That was really good, though.
That was actually quite good.
I figured Nubo was like the mascot for a marshmallow.
That would make
because like
sense.
obviously, right?
That would make a lot more sense. Oh, I got a 1-up. There you go.
Okay.
Wall.
Oh, are we doing this? Okay. So of the Halloween cereals, Count Chocula is the best. But if you
no,
like it, no nonsense. Frankenberry is trash. Frankenberry is such overrated garbage. Count Chocula is so fantastic.
So here you're gonna take a quick damage, just sliding down the rope here.
Frankenberry. Why didn't you go with Fruit Brute while you're at it? Jesus.
Wow. Yeah, strong opinions in this commentary chat right now. I don't feel safe.
We don't even have all those things.
No, of course.
Of course you don't, because you're Europe.
This is such a xenophobic commentary stream right now. Talking about ranch dressing and the Halloween cereals.
Well, ranch dressing, we can all agree, is disgusting. So this is probably the hardest part of Crystal Castle, is the jumping into the opposite current of the water, because if you don't quite make the jump, there's a slight delay when you land from jump, where you don't get to move at all. And if you don't quite make the jump, the water current will push you into a pit and kill you. But if you can make the jump a little further, you're pretty safe. That's probably the hardest Crystal Castle. Here we have just some basic platforming. The ice blocks that you see Ariel jumping over right there do break away if you stand on them for too long. But this boss is...
Isn't this boss a chump?
Yeah.
Okay.
This boss is laughable.
It's been a little while for me on this game, but yeah.
So you're gonna hit this crystal, and it's gonna shoot a lightning bolt down. Literally, you just have to basically stand in this corner where Ariel's at, and you just lay the smack down on this crystal as it's coming, and then you just take a quick damage. It does 1 damage to you every time the fire hits you,
no.
and you're done. It's such a chump boss. Then we have Alec going into or in Crystal Castle as well too. We have Hero who will be entering Crystal. Geez, that's hard to say fast. Crystal Castle next. Ariel should be entering Rock Castle after this, which is the bottom right castle. And Rock Castle has my favorite boss in it. So
This boss is an absolute nightmare if you die.
it is, but it's a sweet boss. This is my favorite boss. Followed by Slayu. Slayu is a fun fight. It's hard, but it's a fun fight.
Is this the people's boss then? If this is the Rock Castle?
This is the people's boss. So in normal Castlevania fashion, instead of having the goblins that want to hit you and chase you with the random movement, you get fat toads this time around. So that pop out of the cracks of walls. They are a nightmare. So here we have the spiky room of death, where you're gonna see the white circle blink, and then that's where the spike is going to be coming from if you've ever played a video game, and then you're just going to jump on it and climb out of there. Yeah, so basically here you're just killing the toads so they just don't own you, basically. They just pop out of these little cracks to say what's up.
Yeah, those were actually a boss in the first Castlevania. On Game Boy, that is.
Yeah, I was gonna say they weren't on India. Okay, yeah, Game Boy.
Yeah, that's one of the bosses.
So here we're gonna take a shortcut. Hello, shortcut. Goodbye, shortcut. If you go all the way down, there's a knight down there that you have to fight. It's just not worth it. All right, so this room is actually pretty cool. Those candles, if you keep them lit, those ball enemies at the top don't come to life. But if you destroy every candle on the screen, those ball enemies come to life, and they are not nice. These eyeballs are exploding eyeballs. They will actually trace you whatever side of the platform that you were on. So if you're on the left side, they'll fall towards the left. If you're on the right, they'll fall towards the right. Very interesting enemy pattern for them as well. If the Rolly Boys are not active, you can stand on them as platforms. It's not a big deal.
I always love it when you can use enemies like that when you're not expecting to. When they don't kill you on contact like that. That's very good. And that's pretty rare in a Castlevania game as well. That's not obviously typically how enemies work in Castlevania. So interesting. Ariel not going on the top of the crusher here.
Yeah, Ariel not opting to go top rock for this crusher. Typically what you would do is slide down that rope, you would go on top of that crusher, and then you would break the crusher as close to the ground as possible. That way you can just walk to the rope.
I wonder if Ariel is aware of where he's at relative to the other racers right now and just trying to be very safe on areas where maybe he's made mistakes in the past. Because you can die if you take that top route if you're not fast enough. So he might just be like, you know what? I'm ahead. I'm going to be like, cool, not make any major mistakes. Already took a death in this game. Let's just chill out and cross the finish line.
Yeah.
And you got to admire him if that's his strategy, because that's a very good way of thinking.
Yeah, so like
Who's your favorite boss?
This is my favorite boss because it's really easy, as you can see, right?
Right, yeah. That's it.
Real easy.
Oh, wait a second.
Oh, no, we're in phase 2, and he has a long neck, and now he jumps around and is a complete jerk. So Ariel's going to take some damage boost in here, hang out on that rope, and make quick work of him. But if you actually don't have the health for this fight,
or the whip,
fight,
or the axe,
if you don't have at least a power 1 upgraded whip, or the health for that fight is a nightmare.
Yep, it stinks.
It is exceptionally hard to fight. So
it's like, okay, so some people might be more familiar with this. You know, in Castlevania for NES, where you die to Frankenstein and then you don't have the holy water to stunlock him or the upgraded whip all the way, it's sort of like that, but harder.
So we're in the plant castle, which is actually really my favorite boss because it's the two goat heads. The two goat statue boss, which doesn't sound very difficult, but again, if you don't have the right equipment, it can be a bit of a challenge. This is probably, I would say, the easiest castle in the run. It's a pretty straightforward castle as well. It's just a lot of it's pretty linear, a lot of eyeballs in this one.
The boss is kind of interesting in this stage too.
Yeah, it's
not really difficult, but
it's the ramp statues. Yeah. That's actually my favorite boss in the game. So I just like the Power Ranger boss before this one in the rock castle. So the plant castle actually has a decent amount of secret rooms that we're not going to see at all. But what we are going to see is a lot of barrel bosses, and we're also going to be introduced to our bone boys here, where they like to slide down on the and go on the same rope as you and be jerks, which they're not typically a problem, but if you do miss the initial kill on them, they become a nuisance really quick.
Yes, that is happening, Johnson. At the end of the stream, so if you want to know one game, better stick around for that.
Alien 3! Oh shit, you ruined it.
It's Alien 3, boo.
That's 2 games, though.
Alright, well, they got a bonus game. So I believe there's a wall meat in that corner there. Yep. Man, my memory is top notch. It's been a while since I ran this game, but
yeah.
So you want to stay top route, otherwise Swamp Thing is going to get you. And also you want to stay top route too, because that grassy stuff at the bottom will actually slow you down quite a bit. But Swamp Thing in general is the reason you want to avoid that bottom part there. So Hero going into the Rock Castle boss fight here, and one of those candles on the way down, I don't remember which one, actually does have a whip top. So
I can't believe they didn't put a lobster in the Rock Castle.
I understand that reference.
Rock Lobster, yeah. So the spiders is probably the hardest castle, where you actually have to have the spiders come down a bit because you have to use their webbing as ropes to climb on. And as you can see, the way the climbing works, if there's a decent gap between them, Chris Belmont does not make an effort at all to make that jump. Chris just decides, you know what? If I can't make it, I can't make it. It's not my problem. That's just how Chris rolled.
He's not a high effort Belmont. Yeah.
He's not a high effort Belmont at all. So this is my absolute favorite boss in the game. It looks cool. The fight itself is cool because it's on an elevator. But it's unfortunately very quick when you have the axe. Because when you have the axe, whenever the tridents are down, or up rather, you can just hit them with an axe and call it a day, which is really unfortunate. But it's such a cool boss. And then we're gonna dump some hearts before we grab the orb. And so now we have finished off the first 4 castles, or basically the first half of Belmont's Revenge. Now we move into Dracula's Castle. We are now getting into the very hard part of Belmont's Revenge. The first 4 castles are basically the baby's game of Belmont's Revenge. Now we get into the fun section of the game. And the first boss we're going to encounter is the Bone Snake. And casually the Bone Snake will
ruin your life.
have its way with you.
The bone snake can have its way with you, you say.
I was trying to think of something to not make it sound.
Well, you know.
I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
For people who are wondering, like, why are there no stairs in this Castlevania game?
They suck.
It's literally because for the first one, for Adventure, they tried programming it in, but they couldn't. They totally failed doing that, so they replaced everything with these ropes, and people actually did like that part of the game, so they just kept it in for the other ones.
Yeah, plus the steps in all old Castlevania games suck, so...
Yeah.
So even the stages in this last half of the game are actually pretty difficult. You get to go against Death, which the scythe can either be coming from the bottom or the top. The birds, again, will swoop down and come at you. There's just a lot of pitfalling and moving platforms to deal with. It's just like in every game, bats are an absolute disaster to deal with. But this is a tough speedrun. If you are looking for a challenging speedrun on the Game Boy, I encourage you to try Castlevania 2. It's very satisfying when you get a good time. It's a very satisfying game to learn. It's a very fun Castlevania game as well, too. It's actually canonic, so...
Yeah, and it does have some interesting different mechanics from, you know, the standard Nintendo and Genesis type of Castlevania games.
God, Bloodline.
Bloodlines is great. Bloodlines is really cool, but I mean, you're not the only person that I know that thinks Bloodlines is stinky poo-poo, so...
Garbage game.
I mean, just because all of them are criminals doesn't mean anything for you, but that's okay. No, I don't know.
We're real critical on this commentary.
Yeah. This is not bloodless commentary. We put the blood code in before we started. But I mean, this is very different, like with the way that the platforms come out, and you know, obviously the sub weapons are way stripped down, which is not a surprise for it to be a Game Boy game. But yeah, it's pretty neat. But it does feel like really well fleshed out, yeah, unlike other Game Boy Castlevania games.
Yeah.
Called Adventure.
The problem with Adventure is that it's slow.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue with it.
It's
Again, if people
slow.
do want to play that game, there is a ROM hack called Graphics Enhanced Hack, which makes the game run at a normal speed, and I actually had fun playing that one. It only took me like 40 minutes to get through it instead of like 3 hours because of how horrible the original is.
Yeah. So these big bats here, if you hit one with a whip, they off into...
I want to update the out-of-town scoreboard. Fetty is on the final chapter of Wario Land 3.
Nice.
I don't know exactly where Rustbiggin is relative.
Both are on the same stage.
Okay, there you go.
Russ. So here we have the Swamp Thing people.
I think
If you
Ross
hit
is slightly
them-
ahead.
Yeah, if you have the
Yeah,
Swamp
he's
Thing
almost
people,
inside the castle.
Swamp Thing people, if you hit them, they just fall over. But if you hit them in the head, they die. Here we have the Bone Snake. So the Bone Snake fight is... It sucks. You have to be ahead of the Bone Snake, but at the same time be behind the Bone Snake. And every time you have to know like how far away the Bone Snake is going to come off the screen and into the screen, and understand how fast the screen is moving versus
I
the
hate
Bone
this boss.
Snake. Yeah, this boss is
Any boss that can
brutal.
force you into getting trapped and squished is not my kind of boss.
Yeah. So typically what you would do with this boss fight, Ariel had a really nice snake fight, but typically what you would do is once you would see the ceiling or the ground start to grumble a little bit, that's where the bone snake is going to come out of. You would start throwing your axes at that spot immediately to start hitting it while it's coming out of the ground, because most of the time you are actually not by the head, you're semi far away until basically the very end of it. That's a very good fight from Ariel.
Yeah,
So
and
now
just
our-
like Hero has caught up to Alex.
That
It's,
was
like,
so
right in
close!
front of him, by the way.
Ariel very nearly did not land on that platform there when getting the candle, but he does land and saved death there, so he's doing all right.
Yeah, Hero's caught up a lot.
Hero has caught up a lot. I mean, this is very much, I think, he was kind of the leader in the clubhouse in this game of the racers here today. And I know this is a game that Ariel was dreading a little bit because, you know, and that rightly so, because this game can be a beast. So, I mean, right now, Hero is coming back with a vengeance. And I think he's actually ahead of Smart Alec at this point.
Yeah, like
which was not true going
two
into
or 3
Castlevania.
seconds ahead, so it's kind of tight there.
Yeah, this is still anyone's game because Soleil
absolutely.
can be Soleil and Dracula can still be Dracula.
Yep.
So yeah, this is still anyone's race point.
There
Again,
were a
here,
few questions in chat. Now I'm trying to remember what they were. Yes, Batman, the animated series, hasn't been in Tiny 10 yet. Like, as much as I love that game, I think it would be way too hard for people. I wouldn't like to put a goal on it either. I would love to have full game for
Is it
them.
similarly difficult to the Genesis version of that game?
I have no
I've never-
idea, but
I've
it's
never played
one of the
Genesis version.
hardest Batman games.
Yeah.
there
Well,
is.
so is the Genesis one. So
Yeah. So that's a problem. And no, we did not have any wrestling games yet, because most of those are absolutely
Amazing.
garbage.
how dare you?
How dare you?
All right, well, I'm leaving commentary.
WWF Raw on the Game Boy is amazing. Warzone is amazing. How Wrestling is fantastic.
I don't think any of them are fit for a Tiny 10, though.
Yeah, maybe you're not fit for a Tiny 10 anymore.
Yeah,
maybe Grandpa over here is getting put out the pasture after this one.
Yes, you can see Hero here doing the rock stick, using literally its axis when it's far away. This is literally how we fight rock snake. That was an amazing rock snake fight. So.
Yeah. Very nice.
Bone Snake.
Bone snake, same thing. Rocks,
Rock
bones.
snake.
It's decidedly different.
No, they're the same. So again, Arno here not opting to take the damage boost through the pulley. Pretty smart, considering it is a race. But the pulley, the first one from the right there, you can actually just damage boost through it and keep going up. And I believe that candle wick on the right side there is an axe, if I remember correctly.
I don't know what Super Fire Pro is, so...
Oh, Fire Pro Wrestling is like one of the all-time great wrestling series.
Okay.
It's mostly well known for having every wrestler ever, and offering to create a wrestler that lets you do pretty much anything. It's very more pixelated style art rather than like 3D stuff. But yeah, it's like super fleshed out. And none of them are their original names, but you know you can go rename them if you want.
Right.
But like it's very obvious who their influences are with their character creation.
Yeah, like the undergarment instead of the Undertaker.
Of all the possible alternatives you could have had for Undertaker. Like oh my god, that was great.
Yeah, I don't know much about wrestling, but I do love the Undertaker, so that's why that came to mind immediately.
The Overgiver. How about that, selfless scoundrel? Instead of the Undertaker.
And I'm only asked does a game get chosen? It's really
Oh,
just...
too soon, drumboardist. Rip Kenny Rogers.
What do you mean that's too soon? It just happened today.
I know. That's why I said it's too soon.
Not too soon. So we're in the final room here, walking to Soleil. And for those of you that
That's
don't know,
Belmont.
Castlevania lore, Soleil is Chris Belmont's child. So Dracula possessed him. So now we're going to fight against him. And this is the only time I believe you get to see Soleil in a Castlevania game.
Yep.
So enjoy it. This is arguably the hardest fight in the game.
Definitely casually.
Yes.
But also in the speedrun, actually.
Nice job. Nice fight. Yeah, so Soleil's movement is kind of sort of based off of Chris's positioning, but sometimes the AI just does not care about Chris's positioning, and it will just have Soleil do whatever it wants. That fight is actually a very hard fight, and Ariel made it look very easy. So now Ariel is in the traditional Castlevania level where you walk a Dracula, no enemies to fight, but you get a sweet background. So
That is a really cool looking background.
So here we go into the Dracula fight. The Dracula fight is a bit of a nightmare as well too. It's a static fight. There's no RNG to this fight at all. But as you just saw, Dracula likes to have those ball things fly around him. Dracula is going to go on set platforms around the area here, and Ariel is basically going to try and position themselves in a way where if Dracula is out of position for attack, they're going to basically set up so that they don't get hit by the balls as Dracula is moving around, because if you get hit by the balls, they actually do a lot of damage to you. So
1/4 of your health. Yeah, like Ariel got hit there in the second phase, which wasn't what was supposed to happen, but he's taking a little bit more
and
safe now.
if you're wondering why Ariel is jumping for the attack, you have to hit Dracula.
Oh!
Yeah, the moment like the second phase hit him, it got a little scary.
Alright, so now we have, it looks like the Soleil fight coming up for Hero here. So, with that death, things could get very interesting here, folks.
Yeah, so Dracula's hitbox is its head. There's no leg hitbox, there's no body hitbox. You have to hit Dracula's head. So while dodging the giant balls on the screen, you also have to be in position to hit Dracula in the face with your whip. So, and as you can see on Hero screen, how Soleil can slay you real quick. So,
I get it.
Nice.
Well done.
good.
Good wordplay.
Yeah, that's right. I've been hanging out with Mo way too much, so.
Yeah, the reason why he's called Soleil is because he is Belmont's son.
Yeah. So Ariel opted to take another death on purpose by the spikes.
Wait, what?
Because Soleil means son.
Oh, okay. In what language?
So here,
Soleil is
French.
French.
Okay, there.
So here having the holy water, I prefer using the holy water for this fight because it does last on the ground a bit longer.
Oh, it's down to it.
Oh,
no!
No!
Oh man!
Welcome to Castlevania 2, everyone.
Yeah. Everybody having trouble with these two final bosses.
They're the two hardest bosses of the run. I have lost many of runs to Soleil and Dracula. Alright, Ariel setting up nicely here. Gets a hit in.
Yeah, it looks like Ariel is very inclined to just play it safe, get the hits where he can, and then just otherwise not take damage.
Yep. Smart move, honestly. Alright, Hero. Throw some water. Yeah, there you go. Throw some holy water.
Okay,
There you go.
There you go. Alright, so if Ariel were to die here, it's going to be completely insane. But it looks like he's in pretty good shape. Oh, there it is! There's the last hit, at least on that form. I don't know if there's another form. It appears to not be.
No.
No,
It's very triumphant music if they were to throw a curveball at you here.
it is done.
Well, they do that in Adventure, though. You're like, I finally beat him. Nope.
With an official time of 2 hours and 44 minutes exactly. Your winner is Ariel for Tiny 10 Remix number 3. Congratulations, Ariel. Job well done. Awesome effort.
And there you get to see Chris and Slay watch the Dracula castle fall for the last
Well,
time.
pissing off the side of the cliff.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much, Ponic Cthulhu, for giving that image to me. Letting the news so that everybody is stuck with that inside their head forever.
Alright, so now here on the final stage here. The final fight, I should say, not even final stage.
Yeah.
But Smart Alec now on the final stage. Walking that final walk towards Dracula.
Yeah, we have a close race here for second. Looks like Hero's gonna take it though.
And there it is, yep.
You did it.
After much struggle on Soleil, Dracula, not posing much of a threat to Hero, finishes a strong second place with an official time of 2 hours, 45 minutes, and 17 seconds for the race bot. Awesome job, Hero. Again,
Nice job.
great job. And now we got Smart Alec just about to finish here.
Well caught up with Alec.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, the games that posed issues for the runners, they very much made up in, and you can definitely tell they're strong games and they're weak games in this list. Alec utilizing the axes here for Dracula. Not a bad call at all, since the axes have an arch to them. But you don't want to go on the spikes though. If I know one thing about,
be fine.
Oh
you
boy!
do not wanna
Oh
go on
boy!
the spikes.
Oh, he didn't go for it. Okay, he should get this hit here though. Yes, there it is. It was so close at the end there, but he gets the job done with an official time of 2 hours, 46 minutes, and 29 seconds. So I believe that means all three of our finishers finished within 1.5 minutes of each other.
Wow,
That is awesome.
that's a very good race. And to answer your question, they did not beat Wario Land.
They did not. That's true.
They're really close though.
Okay,
are
we're
close.
actually gonna put on some volume here as we get ready to go. With we gotta switch some stuff up here. Okay.
There's Hero. Hi, Hero.
Hi, Hero.
Hello, Hero. Thanks for running the Restream. I'm just joking. That's fine. I got alternate strats here. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I believe Ross and Feta, they are on the same stage, and I believe it's the penultimate stage of Wario Land 2 for the normal route. So,
Yeah.
Or no, there might be one more.
There we go.
It's 2 or 3 stages left, and then they're done at least. So they are basically racing each other at this point for the 2 blind runners.
Okay, let's see if we can do this here real quick. All right, there we go.
Yeah, Ross should not do that because the door on that side is actually the treasure room, which you don't need at all right now. But yeah, that's what you get
This
for
is pretty
playing.
popular, pretty important for a speedrun.
Yeah,
Kan inte vart man ska gå.
but yeah, he needs to get a mouse up on the top level by making it follow him, and then he can jump over the thing there.
Yeah, you know more about Wario Land 2 than I do.
Yeah,
You love this game.
yeah,
I don't
absolutely
understand.
do.
I don't understand it.
So good.
My favorite Wario game is Super Mario Land 3.
It's basically the same game.
No.
I love that one too. But yeah, that's on Game Boy Color, so that doesn't count.
Det är någonting här inne.
Which one?
3.
Super Mario Land 3 is not Game Boy
Super
Color.
Mario Land 3. I thought you said Wario Land 3.
I've never played a Wario Land past 2.
Oh, okay.
Three.
Yeah.
Because I don't typically like Wario games. I don't like Mario games either, so...
I've never played the Virtual Boy one.
Actually, the Virtual Boy was pretty good.
That's what I've heard, yeah.
It's probably the second best Virtual Boy game in the library. Having played 18 of the 22 games, it's the second best. First best is Jack Bros. That game's amazing.
I do not know anything about Virtual Boy.
Well, you get the mouse up there. That's a way I've never seen done before, but...
Let me actually go to the actual stream, because there's only 2 people I have to watch anyway, so...
That's true.
It's a little bit easier. There we go. Now I actually see the skin that Baltic made, which I didn't see before.
My awesome layout that I almost forgot to do for enemy.
But you did not forget. That's the
I
important
did
part.
not forget. I did not.
I'll get everyone lined up on the top row here in a second.
Before we probably do interviews, I am going to the bathroom because
Alright.
that's a thing that I also need to do.
Well, have fun.
Just like Christopher and Slade.
Where does Tolero boxing fall into the hierarchy? Tolero boxing is a cool game, but it's a good game, but it's weird at the same time because in order to get true ending of Tolero Boxer, you cannot lose a fight at all. Which means that you have to play the game perfectly, obviously, but if you lose a fight and then turn off the Virtual Boy and like go back to it months later, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go play a new game. That loss still is counted on your profile or in your saved game, so you just never get the true ending. So you always have to clear your game if you want to get true ending of Tolero Boxer. But otherwise, Tolero Boxer is a very good game. Definitely top 5. The crappiest game I've played on Virtual Boy is not even Waterworld. Waterworld is close, but it's the flying game. I can't remember what it's called right now. I don't have my games by me for Virtual Boy, but it's the flying game. It had a lot of potential to be really good. The problem is that since everything is vector graphic and see-through, you don't know what are walls in that game. So, what could have been a very good game, I feel, was a pretty big letdown. Mario Tennis is actually pretty decent on me as well too.
We're gonna bring Ariel in as soon as Mo gets back. So we'll do our interview with our champion here for Tiny 10 Remix number 3. to take umbrage with this. You turn to a zombie when the ghost touches you, but then when you go into sunlight, you stop being a zombie, which is not how zombies work at all. I just, you know, you gotta respect the lore of these things when you're talking about video games, and it's really disrespectful the way that Wario Land 2 is treating ghosts, zombies, and vampires all in one shot.
Well, you see, Wario's blood is actually a type where it's where it actually has like a resistance to the zombie disease.
Uh-huh.
So
sunlight cancels it?
yeah.
I thought you were gonna say that Wario is part vampire, because you look at those ears and you know, maybe he's got a little bit of vampire in him.
I mean, he's got sharp teeth too.
The evidence is adding up here, folks.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm back.
Alright, Mo's back, so let's Alright, we have here with us in commentary the grand champion of Tiny 10 Remix number 3. Ariel is here. Congratulations, Ariel.
Thank you. I'm still in shock.
So you PB'd by quite a bit, I think, in this race. Or you certainly were on PB pace going into Castlevania. I know there was a couple
but then I lost everything on Castlevania.
A little bit, yeah. There's a couple spots.
My Castlevania on my last full run was really good. So it was tough to run against. But again, wow.
Yeah, it was a great race.
It's a tough speedrun, yeah.
Now, when you got to Castlevania, did you know where you were at compared to everyone else, and did you decide, like, oh, after this first death, I'm going to try to play this a little bit safe, or what was your game plan?
I loaded the stream while I was swapping games,
mm-hmm.
and then I saw I was in first place, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe this.
Yeah.
And when I was on Dracula and I died twice, at that point I was like, well, that's it, GG. But no, how?
Yeah, it was that was the spot where we saw Hero kind of staying in there, and he made up a lot of ground in Castlevania. It was like, oh, you know, if Ariel takes another death here, and Hero gets through Saleu right away, but then he took a death on Saleu, so you know it kind of all balanced out, and you were able to hold on at the very end there. It was very exciting at the conclusion. You guys were all within a minute and a half of each other, so you can't really ask for anything more than that.
I don't even know how I won. I really don't know. When I
caught up during I think the third game or the fourth game, like you were behind 10 and then you suddenly like took the lead, and it stayed that way for the rest of the race actually.
Basically, like once Batman and Contra hit is when you started taking over, because you had a little bit of problem with Pingu on the hockey stage, and then once Batman and Contra hit, then it was.
I gotta say, both Batman and Contra, those two were PBs for me. So, I'm glad to see I made some time.
So after, I don't know if you heard this, but Pingu was added because you were so adamant that Pingu be in this race. Although it was not it was not originally going to be in. It was a very late addition. I think that was the last game that ended up officially in this race. And then you lost time in it. You were ahead going into Pingu, and then the hockey game was the hockey game. So
I gotta say, this doesn't affect at all my love for Pingu.
Good. Okay. Good.
Pingu is one of the best games on the Game Boy, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Very good. All right, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, I agree. Shaq Fu is probably the best game on the Game Boy.
But yeah, I had actually tons of PBs. Batman was a PB, Contra was a PB, Roger Rabbit was a PB.
Nice.
Well, it was really good. And then I would maybe have gotten like a 242 or something if Castlevania didn't happen. But yeah.
Well, I mean, Castlevania, I think everyone kind of expected Castlevania to happen to one extent or another.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a brutal game.
Yeah, Castlevania is a very hard speedrun. But I know I watched you do some practice a while back, and you were having you were practicing Fish Dude, I think it was, and you were having some choice words for Fish Dude. I saw you do Fish Dude fairly well this time around. What was this like, just a lot of practice, or it just kind of?
You know why? RNG. This game is just RNG.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that at all.
That was the least expected game to gain time on. I really thought it was going to screw me on race day.
When it came to the Tiny 10 list, obviously you were excited to see Pingu. What other game like that you saw where you were just like, oh, that game is mine type deal?
Well, honestly, Nubo. I really like Nubo. And after trying out the games, Contra. Contra is a really hard game, but I really like it.
It's a satisfying run.
Yeah, especially since I only did the easy run for
Tiny
my
10
take on the Tiny 10 2, because I didn't get to join, but I did it on my own and all that. But still, learning normal was actually really fun. And hey, now I have a new PV for it.
Also out of the list, what game were you the most scared of?
Solar Striker.
Yeah. There it is.
Hold on, as
There
long as
it
we're
is.
asking that question, let me bring in our other two finishers here real quick. All right,
Yeah,
so joining us now are Granin Hero, and if he realized, there he's a smart Alec. Okay, very good. So congratulations, guys. Second and third place finishers, Hero and Smart Alec. You all finished within a minute and a half of each other. So kudos to you all. Congratulations. Excellent race. And I hope you had a fun time.
Thank you. Thanks. Super thanks. It was a great race.
So Beltic had just asked Ariel what game he was most concerned about coming into the race, and he said Solar Strikers. So I wanted to bring you guys in to answer that question as well. So what game was it that was giving you the most concern coming into the race today?
Fish Dude. I hate Fish Dude. That game is so stupid.
I love Fish Dude.
Oh, no, it's... I was so angry when that friggin' boss killed me over and over and over. Oh, and I just saw the minutes.
Yeah, I saw that you were having some trouble there at the final stage at Scuba Steve.
Yeah, he flips you the bird all the time, and you just gotta take it.
I mean, Contra was really hard for me to learn, honestly. That was, I don't know why, but that was just really tough for me to learn. But then once I just kept playing it and kept getting better. But then, like, I mean, the past few days, Fish Dude was giving me fits, and for no real reason either. I was having, yeah, I did not play well today, at least in my opinion, by my standards, so.
Well, also gotta say, for no reason is the motto of Fish Dude.
That's true. Yeah, that stupid teleporting big fish.
I mean, I have a sub 6 PB in the game. Like, that's how much I got screwed over today.
That's marathon races, man. That's how it goes. You know,
Yeah.
you put the effort in, and then there's always something wacky that happens on race day.
Yeah. I don't know. That game was easily my worst one today. I know I had some issues with Batman and Contra, but those I wasn't even that bothered by that. And then Castlevania 2, I lost some time, but Castlevania 2 is hard, and
Right.
you're going to lose time. So, but yeah, I was pretty much on tilt since Fish Dude, and like just in a pretty much in a pissy mood the whole time. But I mean, I still got stuff to.
Yeah.
You and Hero were like, when it came to the second portion of Castlevania, we're literally like 2 seconds or 3 seconds apart from each other, which was really cool to see, because Hero was quite a bit behind for a while, and then there was suddenly a catch up. So that was very interesting to see what was gonna happen there, actually.
Yeah. I died on the last boss in the first 4 stages. I don't remember what the bosses' names are or whatever, but the ones, the 2 on the sides. I've never actually died the way I did. I somehow jumped in the middle and fell in the pit in the middle. I've never done that ever. I don't even that one I can't even explain, but that as soon as that happened, I'm like, yeah, it's over. Like
Out of the list of games, like what game were you more surprised that you enjoyed type deal? So like a lot of times like we have these lists like, oh, I've heard of this game, or like this game kind of looks okay, I don't know if I'm gonna like it though, but until you actually play it, then you're like, oh, this game is sweet. What was that that game for you guys?
Contra. I mean, I played easy before, but I never tried normal, and I actually prefer normal. So,
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, also like, you know, people were worried about Solar Striker, and like people were, you know, bashing that game, but I played it, and honestly, I didn't even think it was that bad. Like, I thought it was fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. Yeah.
It's just a mental thing when, you know, you don't have any continuous. The game just gets
Yeah.
harder
Yeah.
before you even start playing it.
Yeah.
Because I have all the password written down for every game here on a document, just laying if something would happen. So and with no backup strategy like that in Solar Striker, it's just a bit scary.
Well, the only one I had the passwords for was Fish Dude. If I got to game over on Contra, that was it.
Probably weren't gonna game over on Contra though.
Well, yeah, but
That's true.
Okay, so I have a question that's only sort of like a little bit related to this race, but well, it's directly related to this race, but it's related to other Tiny Tens as well. So I forget exactly which Tiny Ten brought us Wario Land 2.
6.
6. Okay.
6.
Did we also have people on Wario Land 2 when the rest of the race was over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I actually wasn't in that race, so
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
I was just fascinated by like the discrepancy between the like, because all the time, you know, people always do these races blind, and God bless them, I think that's awesome. And we did not make this race to be particularly blind friendly. None of the Tiny 10 remixes are intended to be blind friendly per se, because the idea is that they've already been in Tiny 10s, so you know, you have some familiarity with them. But I think it's awesome that people want to do these races blind, and that's great. But this is obviously like the nightmare scenario game for blind racers. And so it occurred to me, well, as you guys were talking, that I'd never encountered any other marathon race like this where people would be on the first game still when everyone else was finished.
Yeah.
So I was just curious how that went the first time around. But yeah, I guess it happened the first time around too.
Yeah, again, for blind players. And Tiny 10 6 was the hard one, the pro one, where we said from the start, look, all of these games that are in here, you have to at least look at the speed run.
Yeah, I mean, we said that for
before you
this
start
too,
to-
Mo. So you know,
Yeah.
but that's how. But you know, one race day comes and you especially now, you don't know what plans people might have had, you know, before this. You know, they're like, you know what? I'm free. It's a Saturday. What the hell? I'll play these games. They might not have been there when we said, hey, definitely look at what to do in Mario Land, because otherwise this happens. And God bless them, they're near the end of the game now. They're on the final level, but.
Yeah, Feta
which
is in
great
the
because
final stage.
I haven't even seen these levels.
No,
yet.
I mean, why would you have?
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I've never played this casually, so this is
Yeah.
Are we sure this is Wario Land 2?
Yes. We've checked with the judges from
Okay.
yeah, and then we've confirmed that this is in fact still Wario Land 2.
It definitely doesn't look like Virtual Boy for me.
No. So you mentioned that this Tiny 10 Mo was the pro Tiny 10, and that you tried to encourage everyone to at least become familiar with the games. Since we have some repeat customers here, some repeat racers for the remix, I want to run an idea by you guys. It's not going to happen for the next one, I promise you that, but for a future Tiny 10, here's my idea. We have some games from past Tiny 10s that very wisely used sub goals because, say, like Donkey Kong 94 or Super
Quirk.
Metroid 2 or Pokemon, if you're not doing like some wacky sub game, those are longer games. What if we did a Tiny 10 where we put all of those awesome but longer games into one big race, and we're talking like lots of hours for that race? Is that something you guys would be into, or would that be a little bit too much and be off-putting to you guys?
Okay, for me, I would totally be in if I had the time.
Well, I mean, that's part of the big question, yeah.
That's basically my entire problem, because I usually never have the time to do this stuff, especially since time zones are a thing.
Right.
And
Yep.
in America, I think right now it's like
It's daylight savings time, yeah.
Yeah, but what time is it now? Like
Right now,
4:30.
yeah, it's 4:30 almost. Yeah.
Well, here is 9 p.m. So
We're definitely not doing it like Big 20 Trumportists, so no.
that's pretty much the main problem. But for me, learning 12 hours of games, easy. Well, not easy, but totally in.
I mean, they would be good games. We wouldn't just be like throwing Cat Trap on there, you know.
Oh
No,
yeah.
we would be.
How dare you?
Don't let Beltic do the list then.
What are we trying to say here?
If Beltic did the list, it would just be Alien 3 10
It would just be Alien 3. That's all it'd be. Just Alien 3 one
Well, no,
time.
Alien 3 one time.
Yeah, I would just watch people struggle for 6 hours.
Just name it the Alien 30 and play it 10 times.
Yeah.
Oh, done. I can think of many Alien games in the Game Boy. I see people struggle with.
Definitely.
Alien vs Predator, Alien 3.
Well, why not throw in a little Robocop and Terminator and stuff?
Oh, we'll put Gremlins 2 in instead.
Oh no. That is a short game
It is.
if
But
you
it
can
sucks.
play it.
But it sucks.
Yep.
Okay, so Hero and Smart Alec, I don't know how you guys felt about that idea, but like, I don't want to do this idea and then people are like, too long, we're not gonna participate, you know. So, like, is that something you'd be interested in, having like the like what I was calling the pro version of this? Because, you know, like, you talk about putting an effort for this, but I mean, that's a next level effort for those longer games. I don't know if that's something anyone's even interested in. If not, then, you know, some of those games just won't be featured in remixes, but that's fine too.
Well,
I'm still-
the
I'm
idea,
still not
the idea
really
is
sure.
good. But I don't know how many hours.
Yeah,
we need to
I don't know off the top of my head
Yeah,
either. It's too early to say. It's just, you know, when
Yeah.
I was going through putting this list together, it's like, man, you know, I'd love to do Donkey Kong 94, but it's like 100 stages or
Donkey Kong
something.
94 is like, what, like an hour and a half?
Yeah,
speed?
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's never going to make it on, you know, if we had like every other goal and the game was like 2 minutes long, that'd be one thing. But, you know, it's the, you know, then I, you know, got the pie in the sky.
Ooh,
idea,
Hayonko
so.
Alien. That's a.
But 10 2-hour games are 20 hours. And that's a really long marathon.
Well, I don't know that it would be. I don't think we'd go quite that far. But like Metroid 2 is, you know, almost an hour, I think.
Yeah, about 45 minutes.
Yes, and I don't know how long a Pokemon run is. That's not one of those wacky glitched pieces of junk. So,
I
Oh,
do
it's 2
like the
hours.
longer runs though,
yeah.
because there are so much room for errors and improvements.
Yeah, there's a lot more, like,
Could be
you don't live and die
interesting.
by little mistakes. Yeah.
Because when if we react to the race today, when I knew Roger Rabbit and New Boy was up, I knew that nothing was gonna change for an hour between me, Smart Alex,
Yeah.
and Ariel.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of seconds from how there and so that's a bit tiresome to just know that I'm gonna play these games for 1 hour now and nothing's gonna happen. But in a marathon with only long games, maybe small errors can happen, but they won't be punished as hard as a short game.
Yeah. There's a lot more opportunities for mistakes, but like each individual mistake isn't going to be the thing that turns the tide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about?
So what if you do like 5 games or something?
Oh, well, we could do that. We
I
could do
would
like
actually-
a shorter list. I mean, just because we've
I would
always done
actually,
10 doesn't mean
yeah.
we have to do 10. You know. I mean, we've done that for like we did an RPG marathon like that where it was 5 I think it was 5 Super Nintendo
Yeah.
RPGs, and even those weren't full game. They were sub goals because that's even by that standard that'd be really really long. So that's possible. That's something we could do too.
Yeah, something like the SNES sprint that you did too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another one where we do 5 because similar reasons. We always wanted to do for the longest time it was going to be SNES Cathlon. It was going to be 10 games, but once you get past a few games on the Super Nintendo, then it ends up being pretty long games. So we didn't.
Yeah.
So if you do 5 for that, then it gives you a lot more flexibility. So yeah, we could do that. It wouldn't be a sprint by any means. So it wouldn't be like the tiny 10 sprint mix or anything like that. But it would definitely be like Tiny 10 Remix Pro. But if it had 5 games, that could definitely work. That's not something I had immediately thought of. You think I would have with everything else, but I get so set in my ways. Like, it's 10 games, but that's a good idea, Ariel. So I mean, maybe that's the way we kind of
Yeah, we
meet
got the
everyone
name
on
in the chat as well. It's the Fat 5.
the Fat
No.
5.
It's the not so tiny 5.
Someone will get all offended by that too. I don't know. We might have to come up with a better name.
Perfect.
It's pretty good. Speaking for the fats, I think that's that could be okay, but we don't want anyone to get bent out of shape over that. I love that the guy named Ronnie Rage Quit is offended. That's fantastic. I know you're not really offended. I understand sarcasm. It's okay. I just thought that was cute. Of all the usernames. Oh wait, hang on a second. Is Fetty at the final boss here? No, this is.
Yes.
Wait,
and
is this the
Ross
final
is
boss?
in the room before the final boss.
Okay. So we gotta see this, at least this through. Coming up after this, by the way, folks, normally we host people. We're actually, I think, going to return to our never-ending coverage of Tecmo Super Bowl.
Nice.
We're going to go back to Tecmo Super Bowl 2019 season. It might be, I think it was told the 2020 season, although I think that may be incorrect. I think it's 2019 season. I'm not sure, because we've done a lot of Tecmo, and I may be losing my mind. But yeah, we have the updated roster stuff going on now. We've been doing that all week because everyone's stuck at home, and sports in particular is something that a lot of people are missing. So we figured that was a good way to kind of provide some entertainment. So we're going to be coming right back to that. I know a lot of people were surprised that there was something other than football going on in the stream when we started off.
So
live coverage of video games here today, folks. I know.
I've watched so much Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, people seem to love it, which God bless you all. Thank you guys so much, and we're glad that we can provide this service and try to take your mind off of all the garbage that's going on right now, because it sucks. Everything stinks, and hopefully we can. You take our minds off it a little bit with Tecmo, and tomorrow again we have the Turbo 10 blind announcement race. So for a lot of the races that we do, rather than for the Tiny 10 Remix, it doesn't make sense to do a blind race because again, people are probably pretty familiar with the games. So rather than do a race for that, we just do the typical reveal stream. But for a lot of our other races here on RGLTV, what we started doing is doing blind reveal races. So instead of just saying, here's the list of games, go practice, we say, here's a package of games, anyone who wants to race.
That's fun.
Here are sub goals. We do sub goals for the blind races because we're not. That's insane otherwise. And like here's this. Here's a little bit of instruction, just a little smidge to help you nudge through. And God bless and go find out what the games are. So we're doing that tomorrow. Same bat time and same bat channel, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on RGLTV. So I'm letting you guys know in advance, one, to set your timers so you guys know to show up for that, because you don't want to miss out on the Turbo 10 game reveal. It is a fire list, I promise. And number two, for those of you who will be profoundly upset that Tecmo Super Bowl is off, you can, make other arrangements rather than telling us in chat, oh, we're going to stream now. Don't be that guy. No one likes that guy. So don't be that guy. You can go do whatever you want. God bless. You don't have to watch if it's not Tecmo Super Bowl. Just, don't be an asshole about it. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, it's real easy.
Also, for the 2020 season, are you putting Tom Brady on the bucket?
I assume so. I mean, Tom Brady and every other free agent that wants to play with him now, I honest to God, this is such an aside now. I don't know why he's trying to get Antonio Brown signed. I mean, I do, but like, you got like two of the very best receivers in football you're throwing to. You're like, gotta get Antonio Brown. He's a stabilizing force. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, I'm sorry. That's American football. At least like half of this chat right now is like, what the fuck are you talking about? So
I sure am.
Yeah, I know.
I have no idea what's
sorry,
going on.
sorry.
I didn't realize Antonio Brown was coming back to the NFL.
Well, that's the other wrinkle in this plan. that may not be happening either. Look at this sync right now, guys. Look at this.
Who's gonna be the game first?
I hope they can figure out how to actually do the final hit, because that's kind of like not obvious. But yeah, some people in chat have been waiting, and I'm sure our three runners here have also been waiting for me to actually reveal one of the games that's gonna be in Tiny 1011. And it's gonna be the final game on the list, so that will be the closing one. I'm super excited for it. I know Enemy is super excited for it. Baltic is kind of like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yep.
But I know everybody is gonna hate me for putting this game in. So, first thing I can say about this game, the world record for it is 20 minutes and 54 seconds, so pretty short game, right? So
easy game.
Easy game, so, cheapest free.
So no problem there. It is one of the only two, and I hate using this term because I absolutely do not agree with the term, but it's one of the two Metroidvania games on Game Boy.
Yes, that's a good term. Shut up.
It's unique because you get to play with 4 different characters in this game.
Oh, yes! Yes!
Wow,
this is
awesome!
But it's gonna be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Radical Rescue Any Percent, which is the full game,
that's so
but
awesome.
Not the 100%.
No,
category.
That game is so good. God damn, I do love that game. You were exactly right that I would be excited about
Never
this.
heard Enemy so excited.
Oh man, that again, like I love games. We talked about this with Roger Rabbit, the games that subvert expectation like that, where because you think of a TMNT game, especially like for me, I had the original, like the Fall of the Foot Clan when I was growing up, and like, and that's a pretty basic game. Like I'm 7 years old, crushing that game I would come home after school, and we went to like a lady's house. It wasn't even daycare, but like someone who watched the neighborhood kids, right? And I would just every afternoon for a long stretch, I would beat that game every afternoon, first thing coming home from school. So that's a completely different style of game from TMNT 3, which is a Metroidvania. Fuck the haters. That's what they're called. And man, it's so cool. It's such a cool game. I'm so excited. What a great choice. Obviously, that means Tiny 10 number 11 is going to be an off-the-chain, amazing race. Everyone should join. And Mo, when can we expect the rest of the games to be announced?
Well, we usually do it 1 month in advance now, and usually the race is in November, so it's gonna be for October. So I'm literally now gonna start putting a list together, so I'm done with it as fast as possible. So that's ready, and then we maybe for once we can have the time to actually make some tutorials for everything, because that's something that has been requested in the past, but we never had time because we were doing it twice a year, and then it's a lot harder to do. But we're gonna try and do that now. Drumboardists, I do not know, like, if skipping Dawn is a possibility in it, sure. But otherwise you can get on it. It kind of depends on what people find easier to do. But I'm pretty sure the 100% run also means you have to get all the hearts, like the health upgrades. So maybe that's something people want to do to play it safer. But the category will be any percent, so people have their own choice on how to actually tackle the game, because it's an amazing game. It's fairly easy, except for the boss rush at the end, which is the huge problem. So
Boss rush at the end's a little.
yeah, that's the thing. So you can do that if you want to, if you can skip Dawn or not, but you don't have to.
No one likes Donatello in a way. He's the worst turtle.
A lot of people like Donatello.
No
I
one
mean,
likes
I
Donatello.
don't, but
Yeah, no one likes Donatello. Worst turtle. Raphael, best turtle.
that is the least surprising thing I've ever heard you say. Like, you are 100% a Raphael. And by the way, Raphael's my favorite turtle too, so don't think I'm calling you out. But like, I knew that. I was not like, boy, I think he's a Mikey or a Leo.
Michelangelo's second. I don't like Leonardo. He's too much of a goody-goody.
Well, guys, I think I don't know if we're at a point where we feel like this is gonna.
Did Ross Piggin
Oh
just
wait,
beat Buzz?
hold on, we might
Ross
be.
figured it out. Yeah, he did it.
He beat it! Yay!
Wait,
Yeah.
right as I was about to say. I don't know if we're at the end or not. But man, okay, fantastic. So Ross Piggin, just as we're about to close everything down, we'll see if Fetty can maybe get this going here.
Now he goes on to Wave Race. Godspeed.
Which he also says he's blind at. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a list
Well,
on his
no.
stream. So for those who want to go over and support Ross Piggin here, let's and you should follow all of these runners here. But let's go ahead and put this back in chat real quick. There's all of our runners from today. Everybody go support them, follow them, and show them some love for putting on an excellent show today. Ross Piggin and Fetty for doing this massive game blind. You see the difference between blind and knowing the route, guys, right there. Emily asks how you're supposed to get the last hit. So does someone want to explain that real
Yeah,
quick?
you throw the bomb in the
Oh, there
fire
you
so
go,
it
yeah.
goes higher.
Yeah.
Which is kind of.
Oh, it looked like Fetty figured it out.
No, he's still. Yeah.
No,
okay,
he
yeah,
through it in the
there we
fire
go.
real
Yeah,
quick. Wait,
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
why the layout has changed for this stream for Ross Piggin. I promise you I didn't change anything on my end. It's okay, we'll adjust it real quick.
It's
Ju-
fine,
just-
that's all
just-
you need about Wave
Yeah,
Race.
just stream for a few more hours and leave it like
No,
that.
we're
You
not.
only-
Hey, listen. No, seriously. When we got started with this today, people were very upset that they were going to miss out on some Tecmo Super Bowl, okay? So we got to give the people what they want. But to the extent that we're still here, I'd like to have it captured properly.
You only need the map in the bottom corner.
that really tells the tale.
As long as the white dot is in front of the black dots, you're fine.
Yeah. That's what they say in video games.
Yeah.
Well, he's turning around now. He's going.
That's the strat, man. You gotta go backwards. This is like Mario Kart, where you go backwards a little bit, then you go forward a little bit.
I honestly don't know if you're serious or not.
That's the best part about our
Yeah,
friendship, isn't
that's-
it?
Well, I don't know enough about this part of the game. That, like, we're in uncharted waters here. that dry sarcasm, you know. All right, we'll give Fetty one more shot here, and then we'll kick things over.
Yeah, he still hasn't figured it out. He accidentally did it, but then.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
So this is an Uncharted Waters Wave Race. I see what you did there, Jason. No, Uncharted Waters is a different video game. That's true. The waters are exactly charted, by the way. I mean, there's a little mini-map and everything, so...
Yeah, they're very much charted.
Yeah.
There's even buoys marking the way.
Yeah. Completely charted waters. Yep. I'm trying not to laugh here. We're trying to not have you not laugh. Yeah.
That's a sentence.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I was going for the
English is
double
hard.
negative there, but then I was, I don't know.
Honestly, English was hard earlier, so
That's right. Well, we can start speaking Creole Haitian.
we could.
It's a much easier language. Okay. Okay, here we go. We got the high hit now. Come on, Fetty. Throw it in the fire, baby. Okay. So you just get sent out if you don't. Oh man, that stinks.
Yeah, you have to go right back into the boss room and do it all over again.
All right. Well, I think with that we're going to bid everyone adieu, and wish Fetty and Ruspingen good luck. If you would like to go follow them, again, here we'll post the links in chat. Everybody, you should go follow everyone. But if you want to go watch them, you can certainly go do that. We encourage you to support all of the runners for the Tiny 10 Remix 3. But if you would like to watch our continuing coverage of Tecmo Super Bowl, we're going to be picking that up here in just a minute on RGL TV, so stick around if you want to watch that. Thanks everyone for watching today, and thank you again to our three finishers here today, Ariel, Hero, and Smart Alec. Congratulations again, guys. It was an awesome race.
Yeah, super cool race.
Thank you. That was really fun.
Yeah, super thanks for putting these lists together, Enemy, and Mo and Belfic for the commentary.
Yeah, thank you guys
well.
for commentary. Yeah, it can't be said enough. I really appreciate you guys. And for Belfic putting together all of the artwork that you've seen throughout this, the logo for the Tiny 10 Remix 3.
It was fun.
As well
I
as
was
the
playing
layout here.
I was playing Vice City when I was making
Yeah,
it.
it shows.
Looks good.
It's such a good aesthetic. I love it. So, maybe we'll see it again next year when we do Tiny 10 Remix number 4 in the early part of 2021, guys. Will be the next remix, but stay tuned for the announcement of Tiny 10 11 in October, guys. So several months from now. Hopefully we'll all be here and doing better than we're doing now, But until then, we'll get through this and hopefully continue providing you guys at least our form of entertainment here on RGL TV. Continuing again tomorrow with the Turbo 10 game reveal blind race, but right now will be Tecmo Super Bowl. So stick around if you want to watch that. Otherwise, go support our racers who are still going here. Thanks everyone for watching today. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and be safe, everyone.
Toodles.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm gonna go to see ya.
Later, Ariel.